Okay, sorry about that. Some technical issues. Let's start again.
Leaked document shows U.S. wants to pull 4 countries out of the EU and make Europe great again plan. Let's go to X. During the break, I tweeted on X my analysis of this and what the headline really should say. But Trump has launched Operation 1776 worldwide to expose the unelected EU dictatorship is trying to drag us into war. Trump is now making moves led by Orban to start having countries, at least with their political bloc votes, say, we're not going to let the commission that's unelected say what our policy is. We're declaring national sovereignty and pointing out you're unelected and saying we'll leave the EU just like Trump will leave NATO. If you don't stop it, you're not going to drag us into this war. Breaking now, leaked document details Trump plan to pull 4 countries out of the unelected EU dictatorship to free the continent from the grip of globalists and make Europe great again. Alex Jones is live on air right now covering this historic development. That's why they want me off, because I've done my homework. I know what I'm talking about. And I'm able to integrate all these different geopolitical maps and layers, energy, culture, sociology, anthropology, you name it, into one threat matrix analysis. Leaked document shows U.S. wants to pull 4 countries out of EU to make Europe great again. Yes, that's how you counter Starmer, who's got his 11 countries, or one more joined, 12 out of 27, that are saying, no, we're going to war, we don't care, and we're going to drag you into it. No, you're not, you degenerate, pedophile king, head magistrate, 15 years, protecting all pedophiles in the UK. A U.S. defense website claims to have seen a leaked document, and I know this is real, because I can just tell you that, unveiling a dramatic U.S. proposal to prize 4 countries away from the European Union as part of a bold new Make Europe Great Again strategy. This just broke. You notice in the last 3-4 days, you've had the deputy head of the EU Unelected Commission, you've had different leaders, prime ministers, you name it, say, oh, Trump's our enemy, America's our enemy now, because they want a peace deal to end this war. Russia's going to give up most of the land they've taken, but they want a deal that Ukraine won't join NATO. That's the reason they invaded to begin with. Russia's won the war conventionally, and NATO's head, Rutte, said, no, we're going to have a war as big as World War II. Prepare for it. And you've got these statements. NATO ally Denmark labels U.S. as security concern. New intelligence report. Why are they doing that? Because they know about this. This is Operation 1776. And I'm sure other people had talked about this and had these plans, but I've been promoting Operation 1776 worldwide for about 16 years, and I have presented it to Trump at the beginning of the first admin, and I presented it to his advisors on air and off air. And I said, listen, the globalists are going to want to have their great reset, Agenda 2030, austerity, America takes a backseat to China, a global tyranny. But because the U.S. set up the globalist control system and China's double-crossing us, that's back where it started, I said you use all those networks and systems to actually free those countries, and then through economic deals, soft power, the U.S. dominates. You've seen Trump's plan, right? But it's obviously the only plan that's moral and works and is good. Why not have a good plan for global domination through freedom and open association? You saw Victor Bout, major regional leader, a huge celebrity in Russia, has the ear of all the top Russians, including good buddies with Putin. We were finishing each other's sentences yesterday. His geopolitical understanding, my geopolitical understanding, all the things he did, and their special operations, the rest of it. And the Russians know that's a good deal, and they want the deal that Trump's got. We get first dibs going into Russia with all the goodies, and it helps them, it helps us. And then strategically, with their borders and what they border, when we border, they dominate that hemisphere, we dominate this hemisphere. The actuaries have been out for 60 years. This would be the ultimate alliance. Tucker came out yesterday and said, America first would be a Russian alliance. They're like, oh, he's a traitor. This is crazy. Oh, yeah. You heard Bout yesterday explain, which is historically factual. Solzhenitsyn wrote about it. But even before I'd read Gulag Archipelago, I hadn't read his later books where he explained the real history of the Soviet takeover and the communist takeover before that in 1917, the October Revolution. You heard Boots say we were infected by British intelligence and the proto-globalist who put communism on us. Well, that's a fact. And then the left and Hollywood loved Russia because they were an engine of global domination for the evil system of communism into Cuba, into China, into Vietnam. But you have the CIA and the globalists here aiding the destruction of the nationalists in places like China and Chiang Kai-shek. And when McCarthy figured that out, that's when they shut him down and said he was crazy, when he got the documents that actually the Pentagon and the big banks were aiding the Chi-Coms and the Russians. Well, since the Russians kicked this out and reformed themselves, now they're enemy number one because they used to be under the full control of the globalists. And if the globalists can get control of America fully, we're really going to be an engine of evil worldwide. You think the Russians were bad taking over? Imagine us with true evil running us. So now, here's the big news. Trump launches Operation 1776 worldwide. And I've laid all this out on air countless times. I've done reports on it. I've written reports to Trump on it. I've briefed people in D.C. I'll leave it at that. And they get very excited about it and say, that goes with a lot of the alternate plans we've had. Yeah, that's... I'm like, well, you have to do this. You can't have the other plan. We can't just retreat. We have to be involved in the world, but we can do it through openness and soft power and culture and industry and stop being the bad guys and go back to being the good guys. And the whole world's going to want to join us. And you already see it with the trade deals and everything. And all these Eastern European countries saying no to Soros and the globalists and pulling out. You have the EU attacking the U.S. with censorship, control, going after Elon Musk, going after U.S. citizens. You have them exporting. It's now been declassified that Keir Starmer sicked the EU with Hillary Clinton on Donald Trump and Elon Musk. You even see Jonathan Turley with the documents and Mike Benz. I mean, this is crazy. Well, instead of just fighting all the attacks of the EU, it's an unelected commission. It's a dictatorship. See Elon Musk this week posting on X, this is Europe, image of all the countries, and this is the EU. It's Brussels. Tiny little spot. Have to get a magnifying glass to see it. It's a paper tiger. It's illegitimate. All you do is expose it and peel off countries into a new U.S. alliance. Oh, the British intelligence went and got 11 countries out of 27 in the Euro to join the northern group that wants war. How about we go get countries to join the peace group? We've already cut off the Chinese Belt and Road. Trump's already got all those deals with the stands, agreeing to let us run everything. I mean, when it comes to foreign policy, Trump is knocking the sons of bitches out of the park. Grand freaking slamming it. And I know it's not as sexy as infighting and who killed Charlie Kirk and obsessing over everything about Israel all day, which is fine. We cover the Kirk stuff. I have big questions. We cover Israel. We don't want Israel manipulating us. Israel thinks it's the center of the universe. It doesn't even care about all these other issues. It's out of control. We spend a lot of time on it. But every time I put the stuff out and predict what's coming and you see it, I see all these comments saying, why are you distracting from the Jews? Pull your head out of your butt. I don't want to be proven right with a damn nuclear war and you're starving to death with no electricity and you go, God, Ellis was right. I've been right about all this stuff and I need the credibility so we don't have to be right again. We can listen to what I'm saying and stop it. I was against the Iran strikes. I didn't say it wouldn't work. I said it probably will as a de-escalation, as a face-saving thing, but Israel's not going to want that. They're going to keep pushing it. It could easily get out of control. It didn't. Great. I didn't say it would fail. I understand why we need regime change in Venezuela. The drug is just a piece of it. It's about taking control of our hemisphere. It's original American policy. You want to look up U.S. gunboat diplomacy in the Caribbean. You'll understand it all. And it goes back to the Barbary Wars and Thomas Jefferson. And it's in all the legal briefings about Trump has the power to do this. So, I know all these angles, okay? Every new listener saying, what's a Barbary War? What's gunboat diplomacy? Just go look it up. It's like people everywhere, and they have all these leftists out screaming and yelling in Tennessee and in D.C. in the face of National Guard saying you're traitors, you're violating the law, posse comitatus. That's not posse comitatus. And I'll get to that coming up. It's totally constitutional what Trump is doing. And it's what you use the military for in a crisis like this. It's cut and dry, classic America. With Trump, you're back to the future because America's always been the cutting edge of freedom and innovation. We got away from that into totalitarianism. We're now going back to when we were the leaders, back to the future. And if local mayors and Soros judges won't bring in law and order, that's when the Insurrection Act's brought in. Now, Trump can do what he's done so far without invoking it, but the sooner he invokes it, the better. And that's why you see them running around saying, do not follow any of these orders. These are illegal orders. And they use a few examples of National Guard officers that are saying they're not going to follow these orders as a precedent ahead of the uprisings and the Podesta plan to trigger a civil war because they want to try to neuter Trump ahead of them doing that so that when Trump tries to deploy the military when they're really needed, enough people believe it's illegal that you get mutinies and the breakdown of society. That is the official Red Mirage Podesta plan that thank God now the White House and the Pentagon are focusing on. But that's here at home. That's all the different front wars Trump's dealing with. Look at this. MSM's reporting on this. Leaked document shows U.S. wants to pull 4 countries out of the EU and make Europe great again plan. Let's go to X. During the break, I tweeted on X my analysis of this and what the headline really should say. But Trump has launched Operation 1776 worldwide to expose the unelected EU dictatorship is trying to drag us into war. Trump is now making moves led by Orban to start having countries, at least with their political bloc vote, say, we're not going to let the commission that's unelected say what our policy is. We're declaring national sovereignty and pointing out you're unelected and saying we'll leave the EU just like Trump will leave NATO. If you don't stop it, you're not going to drag us into this war. Breaking now, leaked document details Trump plan to pull 4 countries out of the unelected EU dictatorship to free the continent from the grip of globalists and make Europe great again. Alex Jones is live on air right now covering this historic development. That's why they want me off, because I've done my homework. I know what I'm talking about. And I'm able to integrate all these different geopolitical maps and layers, energy, culture, sociology, anthropology, you name it, into one threat matrix analysis. Leaked document shows U.S. wants to pull 4 countries out of EU to make Europe great again. Yes, that's how you counter Starmer, who's got his 11 countries, or now one more joint, 12 out of 27, that are saying, no, we're going to war, we don't care, and we're going to drag you into it. No, you're not, you degenerate, pedophile king, head magistrate, 15 years, protecting all pedophiles in the UK. A U.S. defense website claims to have seen a leaked document, and I know this is real because I can just tell you that, unveiling a dramatic U.S. proposal to prize 4 countries away from the European Union as part of a bold new Make Europe Great Again strategy. The document is also said to call for the U.S. to back parties and movements that seek sovereignty and preservation, restoration of traditional European ways of life. The supposed leak comes just weeks after the release of the official 33-page national security strategy, which sparked debate with a stark warning that Europe faces civilizational erasure. Yeah, it sounds like Elon Musk wrote it. And for suggesting it is far from obvious whether certain European countries will remain reliable allies because of the Islamic takeover. Yeah, the UK will probably be the first new European caliphate, literally. You know, well, they're only 10%, but they vote in a bloc, so they take over. But what? See, in a parliament, it's not a 2-party system. You can steal an election with a 10% swing. But with dozens of parties, you get a 10%, you're in charge. The White House has since come out swinging, vehemently denying the claims as the leak triggered widespread alarm in Europe. Yeah, right. So there you go. A big deal. Now, I mentioned this some earlier, but this is huge. And I can tell you, this is all publicly available information. This is accurate. I can tell you, I've looked at this. The Chi-Coms have a generation or two behind us with their weapons that Clinton all gave them. The intercontinental ballistic missiles, the delivery systems, the guidance systems, the reentry device systems. So when an ICBM comes in with its payload, the third stage, or the second stage, depending on the type of missile, there's not one nuke in there, there's dozens. And decoys. Try to get our anti-missile defense systems off. And that's just nukes. China has a 10 to 1, 15 to 1, 20 to 1, 30 to 1, depending on what area. Weapons superiority just in numbers, particularly in and around Taiwan, with all their ships around it, the mainland just a couple miles away. In the United States, with all its aircraft carriers and everything we've got, tried to go have a toe-to-toe, knockdown, drag-out with the Chinese, who aren't cream puffs, in case you didn't know. We'd be out of ammunition in hours, and they wouldn't even be getting started. And war is all about mass, and mass equates into the number of troops, vessels, delivery systems, weapons, ammunition. Their mass is, in that area, 10 to 1 projection conservatively. And that's not even counting their artillery. North Korea has a 10 to 1 artillery superiority over South Korea. But China's already taken South Korea politically, now communist. Oh, you see how the dominoes are falling? I know, talking about South Korea being run by communists now, it's covering up for Israel. Because, see, people are challenged by geopolitical knowledge. And I want to wake you guys up. That's the reason I reach out to you. No, there's other pieces on the board here. And so people, oh, China's not a threat. Oh, it's a red herring. Oh, Islam's not a threat. It's a red herring. I wish it was. It's not. You know, when I said a little statement about China not being a cream puff, you know why I said that? Well, we'll go back thousands of years in their wars with the Huns and all the rest of it, or with Japan. But how about Korea? The Korean War, or conflict, police action. You know what the Chinese were like during that? You know what the Army and Marines dealt with there? So, this is beyond not being a cakewalk, okay? And the battle reports from Korea about the Chinese soldiers, who weren't even well trained at that time, is like fighting an army of robots. They will walk directly into everything. You don't have peeing on themselves. You don't have desertion. It basically doesn't even exist. Just robot attack. Millions. And now they don't have AK-47s, folks. They got the equivalent of Javelin missiles. And that's down to the small units. Okay? So, I mean, wasn't it easy to fight the Vietnamese? Oh, that's nothing compared to actually going to war directly with China. All right? Newsflash, in a war, the East Asians are not pussies, folks, okay? So, it goes right to nuclear war immediately. That much is obvious. The United States isn't going to let China kick our ass. This stuff kicks off, particle beams start zapping, all the other little rods from God, all the rest, we're all dead, okay? I mean, this is beyond insane, and it needs to stop right now. That's why Trump's new national security strategy is, we'll cut off Russia from China, they'll work with us, China will still let you be powerful, but we're going to cut you off militarily, and just hope because once we cut Russia off, they can't pull this. Trump is doing the right plan, the only way to get out of this. There's a narrow path out of this. In all these other horrible futures, there is a narrow way. The straight and narrow. And Trump's showing China, pushing him out of Panama Canal, pushing them out of Venezuela. This is all about showing China and saying, don't you do it. Don't you do it. And yeah, if Russia makes this deal and China makes this deal, Trump's going to cut Taiwan loose. But under that deal, China's not going to run their rare earth minerals, and they're not going to run their big global domination plan, and Trump's going to hold their feet to the fire. And that's just how these global events happen. But that's what's on the table. But notice we're going to move the chips out of Taiwan first. Taiwan's already agreed. It's already begun. We've already started the evacuation out of there. It'll take a few years. But what Trump is doing is very pragmatic and is exactly what I would do. Very impressive by President Trump. He can do so good on something like this and then handle other things just terribly. But, that's why we're here. So then you got Venezuela and all of that. Russia's saying, oh, don't grab more, the tankers. Putin says he's siding with Venezuela, but in truth, he's already evacuated the Russians. So that's all counting down very, very quickly. It's hard to believe Christmas 2025 is almost parts. That is our business plan the next 20 years. They believe that Russia will never go to nukes. They believe they would have already defeated them in Ukraine, which didn't happen. And so now they've quadrupled down and said, we're not doing any peace deal, and we control Zelensky, and we're going to start putting troops in to Ukraine. The British have announced they're getting ready to send troops. Now, it's a paper tiger, but when the Russians hit those troops, they're saying they're NATO troops, so it will invoke the article that says they're at war with Russia. So this is literally forcing the world into direct, open conflict, beyond proxy war, beyond hybrid war with Russia. But the EU has these huge debts, demographic problems. They admit they want an unending war for political control domestically. And you have the NATO chief, Rutte, saying that this is going to be a war on the scale of World War II, 100 million dead. And they already have national conscription going on everywhere. And upwards of 80% of people polled say they will not show up. They will flee the countries. We must prepare for a scale of war our grandparents endured, NATO chief warns, says it'll be as big as World War II. We've got all these EU unelected bureaucrats, like the deputy head of European Union, again, saying a few days ago that Trump is the enemy and America is the enemy now. Denmark labels the U.S. as a national security threat. It is off to the races. We've known where this was going the whole time on this trajectory. The EU, NATO admits that they need this war with Russia to not collapse financially, and they believe they're going to win a war with Russia and break it in 5 parts. They've been saying that since the mid-90s. Just this year, they've had van der Leyen and her deputy say it. You talk about provocative. Well, now, Rutte is that the head of NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, is saying, prepare for total war. It's imminent on a scale of World War II. Give me a little news flash. At least 100 million people died in World War II. 26 million Russians, 24 million Germans. That was half of it. The rest, everybody else. And that's a conservative number. So when you hear stuff like that, and they had the deputy head of the EU a few days ago when Trump said, look, we're doing this peace deal, we're going to leave NATO, basically. She said, oh, Trump is an enemy. Well, now this, NATO allied Denmark labels U.S. as potential security concern in new intelligence report. Look at this. We must prepare for a scale of war our grandparents endured, NATO chief warns. Says it's imminent. Russia warns Britain, who's announcing they're going to try to put troops on the ground in Ukraine to fight Russians, of nuclear annihilation inevitable after UK triggers World War III casus belli. And then it gets worse. High-level Pentagon, decade-long report on the Chinese says we will be annihilated with conventional weapons if we defend Taiwan. And I've studied the Chinese posture there. I mean, that's their backyard. They surround Taiwan with ships and land, and they've got 20-to-1 missiles to where our ships and everything, it won't matter. You shoot 50 missiles at an aircraft carrier and it hits 45 of the missiles. It doesn't matter because they just fire 50 more, 50 more, 50 more, 50 more. They can fire 3,000 missiles if they want an aircraft carrier, and there's not enough missiles or phalanx Gatling gun bullets to stop it. We just don't have the firepower, period. All they got is nuclear weapons. And, oh, guess what? They got all those, too. They can hit us with their ICBMs and everything because Clinton gave them all the damn technology. The boosters, the telemetry, the separation systems, the MERV technology. That's the key. Multiple reentry device. We'll be right back. Stay with us. The world is on the verge of total war. There are times that try men's souls where we need the winter soldiers, not the sunshine patriots. All right, the global financial order is coming to an end. You have the globalists, the Chi-Coms, and you've got Trump trying to form a new American system and pulling away from the globalists. And the globalists, made up of what's left of the British Empire, the EU, and Larry Fink and BlackRock and the Rothschilds, have said, we're not going to stop this war with Russia until it's broken in 5 parts. That is our business plan the next 20 years. They believe that Russia will never go to nukes. They believe they would have already defeated them in Ukraine, which didn't happen. And so now they've quadrupled down and said, we're not doing any peace deal, and we control Zelensky, and we're going to start putting troops in to Ukraine. The British have announced they're getting ready to send troops. Now, it's a paper tiger, but when the Russians hit those troops, they're saying they're NATO troops, so it will invoke the article that says they're at war with Russia. So this is literally forcing the world into direct, open conflict, beyond proxy war, beyond hybrid war with Russia. And that means their alliance with China. And Trump wisely is, no, we got a deal to cut Russia out from China to get all their rare earth minerals and more. They're ready to go. They want to ally with us. It's a better strategic alliance. But the EU has these huge debts, demographic problems. They admit they want an unending war for political control domestically. And you have the NATO chief Rutte saying that this is going to be a war on the scale of World War II, 100 million dead. And they already have national conscription going on everywhere. And upwards of 80% of people polled say they will not show up. They will flee the countries. We must prepare for a scale of war our grandparents endured, NATO chief warns, says it'll be as big as World War II. We got all these EU unelected bureaucrats, like the deputy head of European Union, again, saying a few days ago that Trump is the enemy and America is the enemy now. Denmark labels the U.S. as a national security threat. It is off to the races. And Russia has said we will take any British troops supporting the effort against Russia as a direct act of war and total escalation to full war with the UK, which is part of NATO, and then brings NATO into it. So when you look at all the crimes out of Germany and the Netherlands and Sweden and the UK against free speech, I mean, years in prison for women that quietly prayed 100 yards from an abortion clinic. A woman complains about being raped. She gets a 3-year jail sentence. The rapist gets none. I mean, I have, without even looking, dozens of articles in the U.S., Canada, and Europe where liberal judges are letting multiple-time rapists out with no jail time, including pedophiles. Again, this is how they wage war against us. You know, what's that to do with World War III or nuclear war? It just shows how psychotic these people are, how they're at war with the West, at war with stability, at war with peace. And they are mad at Russia because they're not allowing the brainwashing of their children and the transgenderism and all of it. It's all about culture wars. It's all about good versus evil. And this has just escalated now massively. And the Northern group, as soon as Trump got elected, was formed It's the majority of NATO countries headed up by Keir Starmer, who doesn't know which end of a gun a bullet comes out of, which makes him even more dangerous. Same with Macron, can't find his ass with both hands. I mean, if it's a, sex orgy when he's 14 with the elite of France, he's an expert at that. Oh, yeah, it's on record. That's who he's married to. He's, they're experts at snorting cocaine on a train. And they're experts in getting us all killed. And the Northern group said, we're going to go to war, and we're going to create a 250,000 person army. And if the U.S. pulls out of the war, we're just going to go in and fight the Russians directly and then suck the U.S. into the wider war. No, you're not. And Congressman Massey, who Trump ought to be nicer to, is supporting Trump and has introduced bill in the House to pull out of the damn NATO. So we need to be out of NATO last year. We need to be out of NATO ASAP. The UN's been bragging for decades it's going to be its world UN army. And it's involved in human trafficking, drug smuggling, everything evil you can imagine. They're all over it. And so we're going to let these people do this. And remember, Russia is allied with Iran, China, North Korea, and others. And China says if full war goes with Russia, they're going to war with us. And North Korea says they are. And North Korea has already committed and has in the field over 100,000 troops fighting NATO in this proxy war. This is already a world war. As I said, when Trump was first getting in, I said, we're already in world war. And then all the analysts came out a week later and said, it's true, it's begun. The only question is, does it escalate to nuclear war and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions dead? And even a conventional war, if everybody doesn't use nukes, which in all the war games quickly start getting used, 100 million dead? And that's the head of NATO saying, get ready for 100 million dead. Today. So I know it's fun as patriots to spend 95% of our time on Charlie Kirk assassination and the soap opera of that and all the wild stuff going on from all the different angles. And it's something to look at when we're following it. And I know it's fun to spend 95% of our time on Israel. And we certainly, spend time on that and talk about it. But they just released a in-depth Pentagon report that I agree with, that China will destroy U.S. military in fight over Taiwan very quickly because they have 10 to 1, 20 to 1, 30 to 1, depending on the system, weapon systems. And so it doesn't matter if the U.S. systems are a generation more advanced. If they fire 20 missiles at us for every missile we fire, and all our anti-missile systems can be exhausted in a matter of minutes in a conventional war in their backyard where it's an armed camp, the United States is going to be obliterated. Now, what do you think the United States is going to do if it starts getting beaten conventionally? You know what the doctrine is, or you should. Do you know U.S. war doctrine? Do you know Rand Corporation war doctrine? Do you know Army War College war doctrine? Do you know Space Command war doctrine? Instantly, when we're overwhelmed, we go to tactical nukes. And there's no such thing. They're just smaller ones, but much bigger than Hiroshima and Nagasaki. What do the Chinese do the minute that happens? They use tactical. And then it's off the races. In every major war game, within hours to days, the surface of the earth is unlivable, depending on which scenario. And immediately Pakistan and India start nuking each other. Once the nukes start flying, it's a free-for-all. Because you got to get your nukes off the ground. You got to get your missiles fired, your ballistic missiles fired, your cruise missiles fired, your submarine missiles fired. Because once it starts, you don't want to get caught with your pants down in all the war game scenarios. So you want to hit them first. That's why it's Pentagon doctrine. Now Russia, Pentagon changed this about 12 years ago. The Russians changed it 2 years ago. For first strike, go ahead and hit them first. NATO said last year, we might go ahead and just hit Russia first with nukes. Think that might have escalated stuff a little bit? So there isn't an analyst out there that disagrees. This is just a unified understanding that this is the most dangerous point in world history, just like Victor Boot said yesterday from Russia, regional leader, who you better believe has got the ear at the top councils and knows the thinking. And Trump is making the same move here. NATO started all this. It's completely bonkers. You will not beat the Russians. There is not going to be some coup. Even if Putin got removed, in all the studies, you're going to get somebody way more hardcore. Putin has had extreme restraints. He understands how dangerous this is. So we're here. You better be saying your prayers, and you better be politically engaged, and you better be supporting Trump on this. Because the EU globalists are not going to give up power. They're unelected. They're hated. They're banning everybody's free speech. They're arresting people en masse. They've killed 30-plus AfD folks that are in the lead in campaigns regionally. You see Canada today passing absolute draconian anti-free speech garbage where if you read Bible passages, you get years in prison. It's the same. Australia, everything. Yeah, the Russians just took over another city today. I mean, they're advancing very quickly. Ukraine has collapsed. They don't even want the whole country. They just want to get a deal out of this for NATO not to expand. And that's why it's time for Zelensky to make a deal, but he's a puppet. And Ursula von der Leyen, the unelected dictator of the EU, and Rudy and all the rest of these people are saying, now's the time, let's go. Because this is the point in the card game where you fold or you double down. And NATO does not have the cards. The EU does not have the cards. The US and Russia have the cards. But we can't play the cards and they can't, or everybody dies. The only cards we have is psychotic, mutually assured destruction. It's been war gamed like nothing else in history. This is known. That's how we've survived 60 plus years with the ability to destroy ourselves, because we had smart people that understood this. Well, you take one look at Merz and Macron and Starmer and the rest of these clowns, and they've just got into the world written all over them. They have no idea what they're even involved in. And they've been able to just push people around and get away with everything forever. They officially believe that Russia will never go to nukes and that nobody else will, and that somehow they're going to collapse Russia and take it over. That's the business plan. The business plan of Napoleon Bonaparte, Adolf Hitler, the Muslims, the Mongols. And they couldn't beat the Russians with conventional weapons. Now we're going to blow ourselves up. It'd be like Russia has a hand grenade and we have a hand grenade. And we're sitting on top 1,000 tons of TNT, and we're going to pull the pin and throw it at them 10 feet away. It's going to blow up the whole damn thing. A strange game, but the only way to win is not to play. And I know there's a normalcy bias that we've not had a nuclear war, so people are like, oh, it's not going to happen. You know, it's not a big deal. And there's also been this insane, mentally ill, with no evidence conspiracy theory out ever since I've been on the air, that there's no such things as nuclear weapons. That's fake. Oh, really? Well, I've had family dead now that were, you know, out west because they ran nuclear forces, who were at many nuclear testing events and took their own 35mm photos of it I've seen. I have family, uncles and people that are dead now who were there out of Nevada and New Mexico and saw the giant bombs go off. You're idiots. But hey, did World War II not happen either? 100 million dead? That was conventional. The head of NATO says get ready for a conventional war, 100 million dead. You got to love the flat earthers and all the rest of them. Folks, there's weapons way worse than these hydrogen bombs. And the Chi-Coms got them, the Russians got them, we got them. This is madness. I got a lot of the stuff to hit, but let me just finish up with this, get into the China situation and the latest with Venezuela. But Trump has published his national security plan. The Russians are ready to bring us in as the main partner, push out the Chinese, give us access to the richest resources in the world. And Africa as a continent is even second to Russia. And Africa is just unbelievable wealth. Rare earth minerals, gold, diamonds, just timber, rich soil, volcanic soil. It's just, Russia's even richer. 80+% untouched. You can fly on an airplane for 6, 7, 8 hours at night over Russia, over the eastern part of it, and you see any lights down there. There's just nothing. Like Rocky Mountain after Rocky Mountain after Rocky Mountain after huge lakes. And they've sent prospectors all over it. It's just like bonanza. Everything you can imagine. Except uranium. The U.S. has got a bunch of that. But the point is that we need resources to go to space. We need resources to have a good economy and a future. That's the future we should have. But no, we can't have that because the evil globalist British Empire, EU, rat's nest of the New World Order, literal unelected scumbags, want to stay in power and want control. And they are playing with nuclear hellfire. Not to mention all the biological weapons and all the rest of it. So here's Liberate, the Russian foreign minister, and everything he says is true here. Western Europe wants to take a pause and prepare Zelensky for a new war. Totally true. But the most important thing he says is European bureaucrats are trying to prolong the conflict. They admit they are. And he goes on to say, Russia's not harboring any aggressive plans against NATO or the EU. No, NATO surrounded them. NATO started this. Russia's always warned they're going to do this if they went into Ukraine. Which, to the Russians, what NATO's doing to Ukraine is like finding your neighbor in bed with your wife. More like your mother. That's really where the Russian culture comes from. It's so, we would never put up with 1/10 of this. It's just insane, the provocation. Here's Lavrov.
The Euro bureaucrats, as well as the majority of the members of the EU and NATO, are experiencing economic crisis. We see numerous speculations and destructive information campaigns and fakes. We believe that the main goal of such activities initiated by our Western colleagues is to exacerbate seeking the negotiation solution and to prolong the conflict. They are trying to downplay the initiatives of the United States and President Trump, which are truly aimed at finding an acceptable solution that would contribute to eliminating the root causes of the Ukrainian crisis. No one in Europe even mentions the root causes. Our negotiations with the US President and his team are devoted to finding a long-term settlement solution and the elimination of the root causes of this crisis, while Western Europe, as seen from the statement by the German official that I have just quoted, only thinks about a ceasefire in order to take a pause and to prepare Zelensky and his regime to a new war against the Russian Federation. Our president said openly that we are not harboring any aggressive plans against NATO or the European Union. We are ready to provide written legal guarantees on a collective and mutual basis in the context of our approaches. I repeat that Russia stands by its word and we keep our promises. As stated by the President, if Europe decides to wage war, we are ready for that right now.
It's hard to believe Christmas 2025 is almost here. And our 12 days.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? It's Stephen Lennon, aka Tommy Robinson.
Hello. Hi, my name's Sam Campbell, High Court Enforcement with DCBL. Hello. Let me just get your details. Do I call you Stephen or Tommy?
Whatever you want.
All right. Okay, Stephen. So, you've been taken to the High Court by Jamal Hijazi.
Yeah.
Let me just have a look. Do you know who that is?
What, again? I've been taken there again.
Yeah, so this was, just having a look, 2 seconds. Just trying to see when the date of this writ was for you. It's not, I'm driving it.
When you say writ, what does that mean?
A High Court writ, which means we're now instructed by the High Court to either collect the payment or seize your assets.
Okay, so, but I went, for the Jamal Hijazi stuff, I went bankrupt after that whole case. So all of that was in bankruptcy, everything.
Have you got proof of all that? Have you got any paperwork to support that?
That was 2021. So 2021, after that court case, I went bankrupt. I had a bankruptcy investigation. I've had the full investigation, everything, every penny, banks. I've been summoned into court on oath to talk about what bank accounts I have in different countries and everything. I've done it all. I've done all this.
Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call. Can I get you on this number,
You can, this is my number, yeah?
All right, love. Well, I'm just driving at the minute. As soon as I pull over, I'll give my office a call, tell them what you've told me. They'll look into that. And in the meantime, if you can get the documents to support that you went through bankruptcy, because I'm driving, I can't actually.
I'll tell you what,
it.
Okay, if you just spend 2 seconds, obviously you can find out who goes through bankruptcy, can't you? But even if you just Google, it'll come up with Tommy Robinson declared bankrupt all over the news.
Yeah, I don't know when the date of this. Is though. That's the thing. I can't see the date of it,
Okay.
whether they've reissued it or do you know what I mean? So let me find, because I'm on a dual carriageway at the minute.
Okay, yeah, find it and let me know. Give me a shout back, yeah.
All right, I will do.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Jamal Hijazi. So that's what I've already gone through all this. They're coming back after it. They're going to do it again, isn't they? Fuck you know. Mental.
I spoke to him, so that's why I've taken so long to come back. This isn't anything to do with that, Rob. This is for costs, what he's taken you to court for. And it was awarded, the first one was awarded in October 24, and then this one was April 25.
Oh, so this is to do with my contempt of court case that I was sent to jail for.
Right, okay, so they weren't allowed
That's nothing to do with Jamal then. That's nothing to do with Jamal.
Right, so all I know, this is for costs. That's what he's taking into court. That's what this case is for.
And how much?
Let me read.
How much are they saying I earn?
At the moment, because it will increase. At the moment, it's 103,000.
£103,000 for costs.
Yeah.
And this is for the contempt of court for where I played the film. Okay, about Jamal. Okay, so this is for where I played the film. And what happens if I don't have that £103,000?
So we can request that if you make a down payment, you can be put on a monthly payment plan. We can request that.
Okay. What sort of monthly payment plan is that? Because that's going to take, all of my life to pay it off, probably. What, £100,000? Say I was to pay £250 a month. That's £2,500 a year.
Right, they wouldn't accept that anyway.
They wouldn't accept that. Okay, what would they accept?
I doubt it. I don't know. It's not down to us what they accept. It's down to them whether they accept it or not. So if you're not able to make payment, we just have to continue with enforcement and look at any assets that you have to seize.
That's fine. I don't have any assets. That's the thing. I have nothing.
Yeah, so... Yes, I understand you're telling us that, but we have to have proof of that because we're commanded by the client.
What do you mean by proof of that? What do you mean by proof of that?
So we would have to ascertain where. So far we've only been to your mum and dad's, I believe.
Yep.
So I don't know what other addresses they've got. That's not down to me.
You won't have any other addresses for me, love. I sleep on I sleep on sofas. Yeah?
You just asked me a question, so I'm answering you.
Okay.
I don't know what other addresses they've got. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. It won't be nothing to do with me. So they will look at that, and then they will look at whether they seize assets. I don't know what they're going to do about your mum and dad's. I know your mum and dad said that you don't live there, but they'll have to go back and get proof of that. Yeah, so that's how it works.
I don't live there. I've never been on the electoral roll there.
Yeah, you don't have to be on the electoral roll for us to enforce it. I'm just trying to have a look at these notes.
No, that's fine. Just that I don't live there, so I don't.
Yeah.
I haven't lived in the UK for 3 years.
No, I'm just having a look now.
But the courts are fully aware of the fact that I don't live in the UK.
Okay, I don't work for the courts.
I have Spanish residency.
Right.
So I don't live in.
Can you provide us proof with that, so then we can?
I can send you a copy of my Spanish residency if you want. Yeah.
And with where you are actually living there now, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what proof I can send you of where I'm living now. I don't have any proof. Obviously, for obvious reasons, if I was registered in an address, people would come to that address because there's lots of people who don't like me and want to kill me. So I don't have any evidence of where I live for anything.
Yeah,
I'm just going through. Sorry, I'm just going through a border now. It's all right if I speak to you in a second. I'm just literally at the airport. Yeah. Oh no, it's bye.
How much camel piss have you had today?
You know what I mean? That's what they talk about crazy people. I'm gonna help you.
So someone drinking camel piss is a crazy person. So why doesn't this young man help the NHS by abandoning it and instead adopt the MHS? Who needs antibiotics when you've got camel urine? If you are if you hear voices that no one else can hear, see things that no one else can see, and then you have suicidal tendencies, that's a case for being sectioned.
That's right.
Like you would, if you was like that now, with the understanding we have, you would get sectioned.
But the funny part is, the Muslims don't understand that Muhammad himself said, women are deficient of mind.
Yeah.
Which woman told Muhammad that this was an angel? It was Khadija.
No, it was, I believe it was her uncle Waraka that said it was, that said, it was the same angel that spoke to Moses, even though no angel ever spoke to Moses. The Waraka dilemma. But the thing is, this is the beginning of the story. The story gets progressively worse, but this is the beginning. So the story of prophethood starts with signs of paranoid schizophrenia, suicidal tendencies, and BS information.
The biggest nonsense I've seen in the hadith. It says in hadith to the Muslims that Satan is in the nostrils of the Muslims. So imagine this, right? Satan, he's in the nostrils of the Muslims when they're sleeping. But the question is, Muhammad says this:
Do you sleep in the night?
if you recite Al-Kursi whilst going to sleep, you'll be protected.
Yeah.
Why can't this Al-Kursi protect you from Satan in your nostrils?
Well, what I would say to that is, I think you should go and check out my channel, Critical Vision TV. I've done a video about Satan in Islam, and also done a recent video about an authentic hadith where monkeys apparently used to stone people for adultery. So this man here believes in monkeys stoning for adultery. Do you believe in stoning monkeys?
I didn't say that to you.
You believe in Sahih Bukhari, and that's in there.
All I said, before you go to bed, you need to have wudu. After naughty thing, have cleaned your body.
But does that stop the devil himself getting up your nose?
The angel will take you alive.
Does that stop the devil getting up your nose?
Let's get that deep.
I said
It's in
the
Sahih
angel can
Bukhari.
take us anytime.
Do you
After
believe?
jiggy, you need to purify yourself.
Let me pray for you. Come on.
Why are they so obsessed with jiggy
It's
jiggy?
Sahih al-Bukhari
yourself.
3849. Narrated Amr bin Maymun. During the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, I saw a she monkey surrounded by a number of monkeys. Listen to this.
Gets worse, it gets worse, it gets worse. I done a video on
Watch
this.
There's a bunch of monkeys hovering around us, right?
Check my channel, I done a video on
And
this.
then it said they were all stoning it because he had committed illegal sexual intercourse.
It gets worse, it gets worse. Wait.
I too stoned it along with them.
So get this, ladies and gentlemen. In an authentic report, Mohammed's friend witnessed monkey stoning for adultery, which, first of all, how did he know why they were doing it? Two, if you saw a group of monkeys doing a group activity, would you join in? No, you wouldn't.
Wait, not only that, monkeys, according to Islam, some Muslims, they were first humans. But then,
Jews.
Yeah, then they were converted to monkeys and their conscience was taken away. So these monkeys don't know what's right and wrong. So if these monkeys don't know what's right and wrong, why are they facing a punishment for something they do not know about? That's injustice.
Doesn't make sense.
So,
Go to church with a shower? No. Even the Muslims.
tell us about the monkeys.
Even we go to church.
We just read the hadith. Could you answer it, please, sir?
You still go to church.
How did Ahmad bin Maymun know they were stoning for adultery? Well, you believe in stoning monkeys and a flying donkey.
Another stupid thing in Islam. So we established how monkeys were stoned. We've established how Satan is in the upper nostrils of the Muslims when they're sleeping. And now,
I'm sorry, you forgot something as well. According to Islam, what is Satan? He's a jinn. He's made of smokeless fire.
exactly.
So the devil himself, made of literal fire, goes up your nose at night and no one feels it.
Wait, as well as this. Sahih Bukhari, volume 4, book 54, hadith number 505. No, listen to this. The Prophet said when the call of prayer is announced, Satan takes to his heels, passing wind with noise. When the call of prayer is finished, he comes back again. Come on, bro.
So basically, that means in over 50... I said this in my video on my channel, Critical Vision TV. The video is called The Pesky Shaitan.
Shout out.
Go and watch it. I said, so this means in over 50 countries, 5 times a day, Satan himself is letting off silent but deadlies. So to all the people out there that blame global warming on cows, it's actually Satan doing it. And it's the fault of the Muslims for keep doing the azan. It's his fault.
We've got another one.
You must grow your soul.
Grow your soul.
Listen to this. According to Muslims, brother, according to Muslims, when you get sick, the reason why Muslims get fever is because Muhammad said this in Sahih Bukhari 5723, narrated Nazi. Abdullah bin Umar said, the Prophet said, fever is from the heat of hell.
A fever from the heat of hell.
So when the Muslims get sick, when they get a fever, it's from the heat of hell.
I promise.
Can you answer this?
So what we have here, we have an absence in the understanding of germs, harmful microbes, bacteria. Instead, it's caused by the heat of hell. Now, I had the video idea planned, but unfortunately I found so many issues like this. This is the
Can
question.
you answer that question, the Grace?
This is the question to ask.
Ask him. Who is your Lord?
No.
Who is your messenger?
The question is this. Why do you use the NHS?
Give me one more time.
Why do you use the NHS?
Too late.
You have the MHS,
Too late.
the Mohammed Health Service.
Give me one more time.
Why wash your hands to block disease when you know it's caused by hell? You can't stop it.
We know the
Why?
person.
How much camel piss have you had today?
See what I mean? That's what they talk about, crazy people. I'm going to help you.
So someone
You're
drinking
gonna
camel
have
piss is a
3
crazy
questions to
person.
ask in the grave.
Oh, congratulations! He's admitted it. He's admitted it. He has just said that people suggesting drinking camel piss is crazy. I agree. Well done, sir. Well done.
Listen to this. Okay, in Muhammad's NHS doctrine, this is what is written. Sahih Bukhari 3320, we're going to expose Islam today. The Prophet said, if a house fly falls in the drink
Oh, I like this one.
of any one of you, he should dip it in the drink and take it out, for one of its wings has a cure for the disease. So if any Muslim is sick or has a disease, they should take a fly and eat its wing. That's what Muhammad is telling
Never
you.
mind Nike, just do it. Just dip it. Just dip it.
The only book never change.
Some of manuscripts disagree with you there.
Why not do Jewish people?
Why are you angry? Why are you angry?
Why you attacking Muslims?
Why are you angry
I'm
already?
angry because you're looking for Muslim people.
Are you always angry, or do you take a break?
Don't tell me
At
take
least-
break.
at
Why
least-
you looking for Muslim people?
Is there any non?
Why are you looking for Jewish?
Oh, enough of your
Enough.
anger, please.
You
Thank
stupid man.
you. Oh, thank you.
You're stupid.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank
What
you.
is the Muslim people? Is here
Christian, Muslim.
Muslim.
Christian, Muslim.
No.
Black,
Why you looking
black
for
and
Muslim?
white. You can see
Why you looking
the
for Jewish?
contrast. You can see this, yeah. Christian, Muslim. Anger, hatred, malice,
Why you
all
looking
the
for
time.
Muslim?
Look at him.
Why you looking for Muslim?
I'm not looking for a
Why
Muslim.
you looking for Buddha like you?
Okay. Listen to him. It's not just anger, it's also terrible confusion. He thinks I'm looking for a Muslim. There are plenty of Muslims, including himself. I'm not looking for a Muslim.
for Jewish people.
I'm looking for someone who is intelligent. That's my struggle.
Jews.
Looking for a Muslim is easy. Look, 1, 2, 3. If I ask you, Muhammad, yes, sir, you will put your hands up. That's very easy.
Here, Jews. Go for Jews.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. How many of you Muslims here? Mostly Muslims? Mostly Muslims. Please, don't come near me. Don't come near me. Please, my dear Muslim friends, please, ignore him.
You lying.
He's an angry man. Where? You're also an angry man? Where are you from?
I don't speak English.
You don't speak English. But you do this? Why do you do this? Why do you do this? Look at this. Look at these clowns. It's not just the clowns here. We also have imported clowns. Look at him. Look at the clowns. Ravi, good to see you. Love to see you. Okay. Maybe we'll go around. All these clowns go around, waste someone else's time. Thank you. Are you a Muslim, my dear friend? Muslims? Muslims? Muslim? You're Muslim? You're a Muslim, my dear friend. Can you speak good English? Look at him. Any Muslim here? Any Muslim, please come. Any Muslim, please come here, sir. Please come. Please come here, sir, please. Please come here and help me understand something very simple. Please come, please come. Are you a Muslim, my dear friend? Are you a Muslim, my dear friend? Are these? All right. Any Muslim who is able to step forward from the mob. I understand as a mob, you are hyenas. But anyway, are you brave enough, sir, to step forward? Please come forward. Say again. Please come here. I'll ask a simple question. Please come. Please come forward. Please come. Okay. Okay, I'll come there. I am a Christian. You are a Muslim. Yeah. I'll ask a simple. Don't listen to him. He is clueless. You are a young man. When you grow up, don't be clueless like him. You are a Muslim, sir. Please come. I am a Christian. I have reasons to follow Jesus. Tell me. Anyone who can speak English? Any Muslim who can speak English? Are you a Muslim, sir? Are you a Muslim? No, you're not. Muslim? Are you a Muslim, my dear friend? Please come forward. Please come. You're a Muslim. Please come here. Please come here. Please come here. Help me understand. Come where? Shahid. Bring anyone here. Anyone here. Hello, my dear friend. Are you a Muslim? Do you understand English? You don't understand English. That's fine. Any Muslim who understands English? Any Muslim without COVID who understands English? Not interested. Stay away. You are an angry man. Stay away. You yourself, sir. Do you understand English, sir? No. Is there any Muslim who understands English? I am going to ask a simple question. I am a Christian, and being a Christian, I have learned how to be good, learning to become better by imitating Jesus. Whoever steps forward, please help me understand. Whoever wants to step forward, whoever wants to step forward, help me understand how Muhammad makes a person better. Anyone? Simple question. Jesus makes people better. If you would like to step and say again.
Shut up!
Shut up?
Shut up!
Why?
Get out! Get out! Get out! Get out!
Are you Homo sapiens? Same species? Same species? Same species as me? What's happening here? Do you understand English, sir? If you are a Muslim who understands, you are a Muslim, sir. Please step forward. Please come here. Help me understand how Muhammad makes anyone behave well, good. How does Muhammad reform a person? Please help me understand based on the Quran. You are a Muslim, sir. Please step forward. How does Muhammad make anyone good based on the Quran? Please help me understand. Please. Please come here. How? Hey, cattle, please. Calm down. The animal husbandry team will come soon. All the veterinary doctors would be here rather soon. Until then, if you can please a little bit quiet, that will be lovely. To you, sir. Hey, love to see. How? Please, to you, my dear friend. Don't. Lovely to see. Oh, you can't? Why not?
I just was an wudu. I don't want to make
Don't worry.
In Islam, if we touch the shit, we will lose our.
Please.
But not touching that.
Hey, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Is this clear to you? Don't touch me. To you, don't touch me. Is this clear to you? No, don't touch me. You are an angry man, violent, don't touch me, stay away. So to you, my dear friends, to all Muslims, please. The question is simple. How? Show me a few. Hey, stay quiet, please. Show me a few moral teachings in the Quran that makes a bad person good. Please.
What was the question? I didn't hear.
Yeah. So instead of your wudu, if you hear carefully right now.
I don't give a shit about what
Sure. Yeah, I understand. Sure. Now listen. Now please listen. Every other Muslim stay quiet. Thank you. Now to you, sir. Show me a few.
Show you what?
Look, I'm not a Muslim man.
I'm Muslim.
Yeah. The moment I say show me, he has weird ideas in his mind.
No.
Look at him, weird ideas already.
I say show you what, but you.
If you wait and listen, you would appreciate. I, as a Christian, can demonstrate how. Now everyone can understand why.
I am a Christian. I love the Lord Jesus Christ. I'm not ashamed.
Amen.
I'm not ashamed of the Lord Jesus Christ. I'm not ashamed.
All right. Now, we know. Muslims. Inspired by the Quran. Look at them. Reciting, memorizing the Quran. Look at them.
You look like a
All right, calm down. Now we know why there is no speaker's corner in Saudi Arabia.
We all happy.
We are proud about this people. Sorry.
Continue.
No, it's our brother. Sorry. Sorry. All right. The question to you, sir. The question to you. Stay quiet. Thank you. The question to you is: when someone follows Jesus Christ, when someone follows Jesus, kalas. When someone follows Jesus, you become a better man. What?
Your prophet was known.
Hey, kalas. Your Habibi is attempting to answer something here. If you have left your brains back in your hotel, please go back. Now to you, sir. Show me, as a Muslim, show me a few moral teachings that would make a bad man good in the Quran, please. Ask your Habibis to stay quiet. Hey, Habibi. Hey, Mafia gang, stay quiet. Mafia gang. Kalas. There we go. Amen. So now we understand why in Saudi Arabia there is no speaker's corner. Why in Kuwait, in Syria, there is no speaker's corner. Why none? Well, in every one of these countries, if you had a speaker's corner, they would be corners which would need to become crematoriums rather soon. Because
we are the new construction industry movement. And once again we have been let down by the UK government, and Rachel Reeves has made the British taxpayer a legitimate target. Welcome to Great Britain, where the working man lives the country, he works, he pays, he sacrifices. Rachel Reeves promises growth, Yet somehow the only thing growing is council tax and the price of cheese. Hotels filled with migrants, all bills covered, 3 meals, warm rooms, paid by the man eating cold beans after a night shift. Then we have Barry, who hasn't worked since twisting his ankle in 2015, but his benefits arrive like Christmas every month without fail. The working man carries a nation that forgets him. He funds a system that drains him, but they say it's fine, they need another hotel. And while we're holding out hotel rooms like 3 minutes at a dentist, there's another soldier forgotten in the fog, the British farmer, the man who feeds the country yet barely feeds himself after the supermarket price cuts and fuel hikes. He wakes up before dawn, works through storms that would evacuate cities, and sells his life labour for less than a London pint.
Yeah, lads, I'll put you off. Let's go.
About the Patriot movement. I know that you've spoken at some of these talks. I'm not sure you spoke. It wasn't the Unite the Kingdom march that you spoke at, right? But it was another one of Tommy Robinson's.
I think it was a Unite the Kingdom one, but I think it was the march where he did it on free speech.
Okay,
I think.
Okay,
it's been a while now. Forgotten.
And this has come up in a recent BBC story. A totally contemptible headline that Tommy Robinson supporters are turning to Christianity, leaving the church in a dilemma.
Yeah.
I'd love to know your opinion on this, but perhaps you might explain or describe. I haven't been to any of these marches, so I don't know, but I've heard that there's a heavy Christian element.
Yeah.
And at the big march in September, it was reported that they were carrying Christian symbols around, wooden crosses, placards with Bible verses, and some even were dressed as Christian crusaders.
Yeah.
I wondered if you had a sense of the Christian element of the Patriot movement.
Before I come to that, let's just comment a little bit about the way that it's being framed. You know, the Guardianista class, the media elites, the left wing intelligentsia are having a panic attack over people becoming Christian. What is that saying about them? What is that saying about their prejudice? What is that saying about the possibility that maybe in their circles there is an unseen Christophobia? You know, because I don't think they would sound the alarm about people becoming Muslim, or sound the alarm if people became Buddhist. So what's the problem with people becoming Christian? And I think the reason for that is that they recognize that it does change the debate. It changes the debate if there is a Christian political movement. So now to come to your actual question.
Ed, you think it is a Christian political movement?
There is
a political movement that happens to be Christian?
I think it's a right-wing political movement that is increasingly becoming Christian.
And why do you think it's becoming Christian?
Well, let me answer your first question
please.
About the sense. I think it was about the sense of the Christianity within this patriot movement. There's 3 forms that I think it takes. Firstly, is the fact that there are actually a lot of Christians that are supporters of Tommy Robinson, and that go on these marches, and that's partly because the issues that Tommy Robinson is speaking into are not uniquely, they are issues that also affect Christians, and so Christians go on these marches because they're impacted by the same issues that are impacting everybody else, whether you're Christian or not. There are also Christians going there because they evangelize. I go on the Tommy Robinson marches to evangelize, you know. And there are, therefore, there's this synergetic overlap now occurring. And as Christians are engaging in politics, obviously we try to frame things in a Christian worldview, which means that that's changing the nature of the debate. But then there are also people going there who are not yet Christian, but they've kind of recognized, oh, wait, hold on a minute. When I look into everything about the history, culture, and identity of this nation, I find Christianity all over the place. To be me, to be British, to be English, to be Welsh, to be Scottish, to be Irish, means that I have to engage with Christianity. And there is this emergent cultural Christianity, which tends to focus on the symbols, the festivals, and the language, without necessarily a deeper understanding or commitment to the metaphysics, the values, or the belief system. But I don't see that as a problem. I see that as an opportunity, because that's an opportunity then to draw these people who are now engaging with Christianity into a deeper understanding of Christianity, to a place of actual conversion. All right. And then there are those who are not Christian, they're consciously not Christian, but they are allies to Christianity. So that would be someone like Liam Tufts, for example. I've been on Liam Tufts' The Dozen. Do you know about his...
a very successful English podcast.
So he would be an example of a patriot who's consciously not Christian, but who recognizes the importance of Christianity to the nation and is therefore lending his support to Christianity insofar as he understands it. And so there's three levels of engagement between the patriotic movement and Christianity, and hopefully I've outlined
that's very interesting. So at the one you spoke at, I saw a video of you, and it notably, what stuck out for me, you were leading a chant of Christ is King. I think that's the first thing you came up.
Yeah.
Which is interesting for two reasons. Firstly, is that slogan has been used, particularly in America, by some, not all, as a way of
trolling
Jewish communities. And I wondered if you agreed with my take that is actually in the case that's being done. But the other thing that you said was that you said Charles, as in King Charles, is not king, which I found peculiar, because then I was, maybe he's Republican. So how am I to understand those two things?
Basically, on that day that I was called onto the stage, I wasn't one of the listed speakers. I was actually just in the crowd. And then Tommy just started calling people up, and I got called up, and I was put on stage. I was given a microphone, and I had to think on my feet. And I wanted to declare that Christ was king, because as Christians, we believe that Christ is king. Now, that is a truth of our faith.
Mm-hmm.
We don't accept the idea that because some right-wing Nazi fascist is using that to troll Jews, which I fully accept is happening, and that should be condemned by Christians and Jews and anyone else with a conscience. But that doesn't mean that a Christian can't say it. You know, just because someone is using it in a malevolent state way doesn't mean that someone who wants to use it in a true way is doing something wrong. So I just reject that whole notion. I join with the Jewish community in condemning any Nazi who is saying Christ is king to troll their community.
To jump on here to just ask you, have you not made your mandated anti-Candace videos? Because I was realizing that your show wasn't doing that. So I just wanted to see what was going wrong. You know, I didn't want to send people over to see what was happening on the show, since every other commentator in the world has done some anti-Candace content. So I'm here to help you do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have a couple in the can. I'm just waiting for the go ahead from Benjamin Netanyahu. I haven't gotten it yet. And I'm waiting for at least one $7,000 check. I haven't gotten that either. So, but when that happens, believe me, you're going right under the bus. And,
okay, great. I wanted to make sure.
Because you are a scumbag and
demonic, evil, scumbag.
I guess my first question would be, why don't you care about the midterms?
You cannot make it up. You cannot make up the commentary. Tim Pool was just really something. It's like, why are Republicans focused on public executions of Republicans? I don't understand. Don't you understand that your job is to vote and to make sure the same people that are engaged in covering up and selling you absolute crap about what happened on that day still need to be in office?
Well, let me ask you, I've heard you mention the Mockingbird media, and it is kind of amazing. like during COVID, I did not expect the people who I knew who were lefties, who their entire life called Big Pharma a criminal, murderous cartel organization, the people who never trusted the government, who knew that the FDA and the CDC were regulatory captured, and they completely flipped during COVID and became mouthpieces for Big Pharma and the establishment and murderous people like Dr. Fauci, and especially what he did during the AIDS crisis. Nobody even knows about that. But so how shocked were you? Did you see this coming? How shocked were you that there would be this significant amount of conservative media who would completely flip on their ethos and now start to believe the FBI and their BS story and repeat establishment talking points and try to shame someone who's asking legitimate, logical questions? I had that happen to me during Seth Rich. The same thing happened with Seth Rich. They use the sympathies of the family. They're like, oh, it's hurting the family if you even talk about this. I'm like, they showed John F. Kennedy's head getting blown off for 60 years in a row on television. Nobody ever said, what about his family? Nobody ever said. So, and anyway, so I guess there's like 3 questions in there, but my first one is, how did you see this coming, that there would be this mockingbird conservative media, and how shocked were you?
I think I was shocked first and foremost because Charlie was publicly executed, right? And so typically when I'm doing commentary, it's about someone I don't know, right? I'm removed from the subject, so I don't have to go through a personal grieving process. So there were so many
We are sleeping through the revolution.
They claim that Europe needs 161 million immigrants to be imported into Europe.
And the courts tell the American people they're not allowed to have what they voted for.
Where is your vision for the next 50 years? Muslims living in Britain and Muslims living in Canada.
This is where the people will stand up. This is where the people will stand strong.
Europe needs 1.35 billion migrants to be imported into Europe.
The reform policy is to deport all illegal immigrants in the UK within 5 years.
Japan would need over 500 million migrants.
If you're in this country illegally, you will be deported back to the country from which you came. Over 170,000 people have arrived in this country illegally since 2018.
The response is to try to silence and shut down their own citizenry.
The UN admits that migration can't solve the problem, though.
Kind of a 100-year plan, and
Correct.
We're 50 years in.
Correct.
So yeah, they want a new order. It's like they're preparing for something, ...
It's people who haven't assimilated into European societies who are driving cars into Christmas festivals.
Replacement migration. Is it a solution to declining and aging population?
They're coming from Syria, they're coming from Afghanistan, they're coming from Iraq, they are coming from Iran.
Officially needing migration to offset population decline.
So Khan needs to be concerned about himself.
And here's where it gets pretty weird, because they give these scenarios.
I believe we should have at least 3 prime ministers in the next 50 years.
The total number of migrants is 12.6 million, or 251,000 per year.
No respect for women.
Yeah.
They have a completely different view of women, and it always fascinates me that
these numbers are huge numbers. These numbers are absolutely insane.
What are you doing? Great.
I mean, and this has come directly out of the United Nations. Remember that.
Where's your son?
This may be one of the most serious videos I have ever made. Because remember in my previous video, I said I had found a document that is from a huge organization, and it pretty much explains what is going on in the world today and why it might be going on in the world today. Well, that organization is the UN, the United Nations. And this document here is an official document from the UN called Replacement Migration. Yeah, this is on www.un.org. But for anybody doubting that what I'm about to show you is official and is literally from their website, here is the website that I'm getting it from. I'm going to click the link, www.un.org, and boom, we are on the document, okay? Now, when we read through this, there are some very important notes that I took when I went through it myself, and I want to just read you those notes before we go through the document together, okay? These are some key points. The UN literally uses the term replacement migration, okay? You see here? This is their language. They are the ones calling for this. They are the ones
who wrote this. Replacement migration. Is it a solution to declining and aging populations? Now, here's another one of the major notes that I took. Europe and Japan are apparently facing large population collapse. And to keep the working population stable, they claim that Europe needs 161 million immigrants to be imported into Europe. Now, does that remind you of anything that we have witnessed happening recently in the UK, in France, in Germany, in Spain, in Sweden, and even recently, America? But let's keep going. And this video is for people who really care about the facts, who want to know the deeper information and want to study what is actually taking place, not just be entertained, okay? So if that's you, keep watching, keep listening, because we're going to get into some very interesting figures here. Now, this note here, to me, it seems to be a disclaimer. The designations employed in the presentation of the material in this publication do not imply the expression of any opinion whatsoever on the part of the Secretariat of the United Nations concerning the legal status of any country, city, or area, or of its authorities, or concerning the delimitation of its frontiers or boundaries. So yeah, it's basically a disclaimer. Now we're going to go through this document, okay, and we're going to focus on the key points, but I want to read you this quick note that I have here as well. Apparently, according to this document, which we will get to keep the elderly ratio stable, Europe needs 1.35 billion migrants to be imported into Europe. From where? And apparently this is an impossible number, but that is what they state. Japan would need over 500 million migrants. The UN admits that migration can't solve the problem though. So what exactly is going on here? And apparently governments must restructure society to handle the aging crisis. So yeah, they want a new order. Sound familiar? Okay, so let's go through the document now, and I'll skip to the points where the very important information is found, because it was a very long document. It was a pretty boring document, and it's kind of interesting how the next language after English is Arabic, all right? Yeah, very interesting that. Okay, now let's get to the start of the document, okay? Page 19. Because the rest of it was just, I believe, the disclaimer and the other information in different languages. And it states, replacement migration. Is it a solution to declining and aging population? United Nations Population Division Executive Summary. And this is the part here where they pretty much define the document as officially needing migration to offset population decline. And let's go through it. The United Nations Population Division monitors fertility, mortality, and migration trends for all countries of the world as a basis for producing the official United Nations population estimates and projections. Among the demographic trends revealed by those figures, two are particularly salient: population decline and population aging. Focusing on these two striking and critical trends, the present study addresses the question of whether replacement migration is a solution to declining and aging populations. Replacement migration refers to the international migration, you see, international migration that would be needed to offset declines in the size of population, the declines in the population of working age, as well as to offset the overall aging of a population. Now, when you read this, it's pretty insane because we're witnessing something happen across Europe, and it seems to line up with this type of theory, right? And I mean, I don't really believe in coincidences, and it's pretty shocking, to be honest. But here is where it gives some statistics and estimates. It says, according to the United Nations population projections, medium variant, Japan and virtually all the countries of Europe are expected to decrease in population size over the next 50 years. Now, has anybody come across the Islamist long-term 50-year plan?
Muslims living in Britain and Muslims living in Canada, Muslims living in Australia, Muslims living in the Muslim lands. Where is your vision for the next 50 years? We can have a global vision and we can have a local vision. I believe we should have at least 3 prime ministers in the next 50 years, right? In Britain and in Canada. This is the solution. This is going towards revival of the Muslim Ummah.
I want to see the whole world led by a just Khalifa. And there's no shame in saying this.
Where they claim that within 50 years, they would be able to have a higher population than the natives of the European countries by simply coming to Europe now and having more children than the native population.
Kind of a 100-year plan, and
Correct.
we're 50 years in.
Correct.
What's the worst case scenario the next 50 years?
So Jordan just banned the Muslim Brotherhood. The UAE has banned the Muslim Brotherhood. Our leaders, for 2 pieces of silver, have sold out our basic values. And because the radical left wants to get rid of Western hegemony, the Islamists who want to destroy Western hegemony have this bizarre common cause. We call it the Red Green Alliance, to destroy their own country, their own culture. And it's terrifying.
What would it take to make them start to listen?
We are sleeping through the revolution. It's time for us to wake up.
And now we literally can read an official United Nations document which states that their own projections state that Europe will decrease in population size over the next 50 years. And it says, for example, the population of Italy, currently 57 million, is projected to decline to 41 million by 2050. The Russian Federation is expected to decrease from 147 million to 121 million between 2000 and 2050. Now, is it just me, or was it a few years ago where a lot of the world leaders were talking about overpopulation, right? But now, according to this official document from the UN, populations in Europe are going down. So what exactly is going on? Similarly, the population of Japan, currently 127 million, is projected to decline to 105 million by 2050. Okay, and it goes on to give a lot of statistics about a lot of different places. But ultimately, apparently, Italy is dropping from 57 to 41, Japan 127 to 105, Russia from 147 to 121. And here's where it gets pretty weird, because they give these scenarios, right? Scenario 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then they give this chart where it basically explains the country, the medium variant with zero migration, and the constant total population. And this is the part that I want everybody to pay attention to and really take in, because this is the important part in my opinion, right? This is the amount of people that they would want to migrate every year in order to achieve what they are talking about in this document. Except for the United States, the numbers of migrants needed to maintain the size of the total population, scenario 3, are considerably larger than those assumed in the medium variant of the United Nations projections. Okay? Now, here are the numbers. In Italy,
proud of yourself for debating college kids who are unprepared to speak in front of an audience like yourself. Hold on. You're 30 years old. We can agree you're 30 years old, right? Do you think that's a little bit silly?
Are you a voter?
I am a voter. I'm a registered voter.
I vote and you vote. So I'm talking to voters of this country that will determine the future of Western civilization. That's what I'm doing here today. Yeah? Wait, hold on. How is it any different than a professor talking to you?
Than a professor talking to you? Who are you?
Well, important enough for you to come up to a microphone.
Actually, when I first saw this ad, I thought it was like an improv comedy thing. It looked so ridiculous that I didn't even think it was real.
Well, no, you could see. Look how popular Trump is on your campus. How does that make you feel? That's not comedy. That is a 5-alarm fire for Kamala Harris, because she's probably going to lose Pennsylvania.
Look.
But no, I just want to be clear. Is there something wrong with talking to voters?
No, there's nothing wrong with talking.
Well, that's what we're doing here today. It's an open mic.
I think that you push a dangerous agenda.
Such as?
Your stance on abortion rights, for example.
Here we go. Okay, so
let me ask a question. What is your name?
Jean.
Jean. And what is your understanding of the current Republican Party's stance on federal intervention in abortion?
Well, I know that they want to bring it back to the states, right?
So it sounds like you do know that the Republican Party's current stance on abortion is they're against a federal ban on abortion.
I do understand
and we're talking about
that,
a presidential election as the important election that we're talking about here.
I understand that, yes.
Great. So, again, I think this open dialogue is great. I think it's great you're here challenging Charlie, and I think it's great that he's willing to travel campuses across this country to talk to the next generation. We need more conversation. Now, where's the disagreement, though, on content? Because you could criticize style or why you're talking to people or dunk on someone personally, but where do you actually disagree with the substance?
With the way that you edit content and specifically frame it so that people look bad talking to you. The way that you edit your content.
We post unedited content.
Let me just ask you one thing though, because personal insults can fly in all directions. Where is an area where you have a disagreement with the conservative movement, with Donald Trump, with Charlie Kirk, perhaps with myself? I was a presidential candidate last year. I think we need to talk about that more in the open, and the more we do, the stronger our country is going to be. We got a long line of people, but I want to hear from you one substantive area where you have an authentic disagreement, and I'd be glad to address it. I'm sure Charlie would too.
Just in any political.
Relating to any political topic where you have a disagreement. Let's air it.
Okay. I disagree with some of the laws that are being pushed in Congress that are against the LGBTQ community and the trans community.
Okay, so let's talk about that. I'm going to give you my view, and then I want to hear yours.
Okay.
My view is that if you're a fully grown adult, 18 or above, you're free to live how you want, dress how you want, marry who you want if you want, if you're over the age of 18.
I agree.
But you are not free to indoctrinate children in schools who are not yet of the age of consent. You are not free, just as you're a 17-year-old or a 15-year-old can't get a tattoo on their own, I don't think that you should be able to go or until the age of 18. And so the lines that I draw here is that men are free to claim to be women and swim in swimming pools. You're not free to claim trophies in a women's sports competition. You're not free to enter a women's locker room. You're not free to change a language, and you're not free to actually indoctrinate our children who are under the age of 5 in schools. Do we agree on the fact that adults should be able to live freely while still treating children differently? If so, we're on the same side of this issue.
Listen, I agree with the majority of what you said. However, I don't think that you're understanding the implications of the laws that are trying to be passed.
Look, we got a head start in the conversation. We got a long line behind you. But my only ask is, forget the personal attacks or the stylistic attacks. Focus on substance. The more we debate that, the stronger we're going to be as a country. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I don't think you're focusing on substance, though. That's the issue.
Hold on. Look, he intentionally tried to provoke substance out of you, and you said, well, I'm worried about some laws Congress should pass. I have to ask, what laws are you talking about? Can you be specific?
I'm sorry, I'm very nervous, but this is what you do. This is what you do. You take people and you put them under the spotlight, and you.
Well, hold on. I didn't ask you to come up here. You voluntarily came to the front of the line. You didn't have to do that.
You're purposely antagonizing people on campus, asking
How?
people to come up by spreading your weird agenda.
How? What agenda is that? I'm confused, though.
So, Charlie, I'll say this. We'll end on this and we'll go to the next question. When I was 18, I'm not going to blame you for this, I also took for granted a lot of the stuff that the media force-fed me, because that's what you know at the age of 18. You say there are some vague laws making their way through Congress that are hostile to trans community.
Know how?
I don't think those laws actually
about,
exist, but I don't blame you if that's what the cable media is feeding you. But let's get to the specifics, and then we're able to actually have an open dialogue. And that's one of the things I've learned over the last 20 years.
I think that the issue is we're getting our media from different sources. Both people are getting media from these skewed sources. The facts that you're presenting are not always correct.
And that's why we're here with no TV screens between us. So people who have policy-based substantive disagreements, we invite those.
Mr. Collins, the only problem I see here is one of overreaction. Give her some space.
Is it bad if someone tells you they love you?
Well, that depends who.
He said not to tell anyone.
Who did? I know what this is. He's manipulating my daughter.
There's nothing we can do.
Come on, pick up.
Where are you going?
If you won't protect her, I will.
I got you a little gift.
No, no.
I've tried everything.
It's time to wake the goddamn lion. You're not just fighting for her, it's for every kid that's been failed.
My daughter's in there! deeper you dig, the darker it gets. They all knew. Click the link to help us get this film made.
In 1982, Johnson & Johnson experienced one of the first major recalls in American history, when 7 people died in the Chicago area after taking extra-strength Tylenol that had been intentionally laced with cyanide. No one was ever charged or arrested for this crime, and the case remains unsolved.
See that chap over there? Get your hand off my penis!
2010 was not a good year for Johnson & Johnson. In April, McNeil Consumer Healthcare, a subsidiary of Johnson & Johnson, recalled 43 over-the-counter children's medicines, including Tylenol, Tylenol Plus, Motrin, Zyrtec, and Benadryl. The company claimed that there was a high concentration in the active ingredients in each of these products. Over 12 countries were included in the recall. In May, the FDA discovered a form of bacteria on children's liquid pain relievers that is resistant to common antibacterial medications. In August of 2010, another subsidiary recalled its hip prosthesis products from hospitals because they would all inevitably fail, which apparently means a few things. Metal from the implant wearing off over time would cause tissue death surrounding the implant, and ions from the metals used to make the implant would get into the patient's bloodstream and spinal fluid. Despite what some popular TV shows might make you believe, this will not make you a bitter yet lovable and brilliant doctor.
Me, I'm a freak. I get off on not being in pain. Got a chocolate-covered marshmallow bunnies.
In 2013, J&J was ordered to pay a man in Montana over $8 million in damages for complications caused by the hip replacement, which is also the most exciting thing to ever happen in Montana. This is one of more than 10,000 lawsuits related to this recall, and some lawyers estimate that this recall could cost the company billions to resolve. Still want to take some Tylenol? Well, in early 2011, the company had to recall more bottles of Tylenol because they smelled of an odor associated with a chemical used to treat the pallets they are delivered on. In 2010, a group of shareholders sued the company for failing to prevent several major legal actions made within the company since 1990, including bribing, manufacturing problems, marketing for issues that were unapproved, and failing to list adverse effects. Several courts around the country found Johnson & Johnson guilty for illegally marketing the drug Risperdal. They were told by the FDA not to market the drug as being safe for elderly patients, but they did it anyway, which is why I'm nominating J&J to be honorary members of NWA.
Coming straight from the underground.
In 2007, J&J sued the Red Cross for using the Red Cross symbol that they owned the trademark for, even though both companies had used the symbol with no issue for over the last 100 years. I guess J&J has never seen the Swiss flag? This year, a woman from Indiana experienced an extreme reaction to Tylenol that caused burns on 40% of her body, and she is still fighting to retain eyesight. Johnson & Johnson had not previously warned consumers of this potential but very rare reaction. This incident has caused the FDA to call for additional warnings to be printed on future products. Also, 150 people die each year from taking too much Tylenol because the difference between a safe amount and a dangerous amount is very slim. And the FDA has done very little to warn the public. I'll wait while you throw out the rest of your Tylenol. 2 chemicals considered toxic to small children have been discovered in the Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo. I'm counting that for 2 cents. J&J has also had some issues with their surgical equipment. Last year, J&J had to recall surgical instruments from hospitals used to cut large cancerous masses out of patients and perform hysterectomies. The device was recalled because it could actually cause the cancer to spread. The company called it a worldwide market withdrawal, and I call it the devil's cancer wand. And finally, several women living in St. Louis and New Jersey have sued J&J because the talcum powder that they've been using on a daily basis puts them at a higher risk of ovarian cancer. According to their lawsuit, several studies dating back to 1982 support their claim. So while other companies and research facilities are trying to cure cancer, it kinda seems like Johnson & Johnson are trying to spread it.
To land. 400. 100 above. 300. Minimum. 200.
Ligeramente de la izquierda con 10 nudos.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20. Retard. 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 Retard.
Spoilers. Reverse green. Detail.
Germans, my dear comrades, both men and women, my diligent German workers, I address you all today. When I speak to you today, and in doing so address millions of other diligent German workers, both men and women, who contribute so much to our nation, I believe I have a more profound and legitimate right to do so than anyone else, given my unique position and experiences. I have grown up from among you. I have stood among you myself. For 4.5 years of war, I was once again right among you. And then, through hard work, through learning, and I can say through hunger, I slowly worked my way up. In my innermost being, I have always remained what I was before. However, I did not count myself among those who, at that time, turned against the interests of their own nation. I was convinced that the fate of the nation had to be represented, or else the entire people would sooner or later suffer terribly within the state. That is what separated me from the others, who, in the critical time at the end, turned against Germany. Not only the German people, but the other nations as well, are witnesses to the effects of this treaty. The theory that the victor and the vanquished must now remain in their respective positions for all eternity. This theory led to new hatred in the world, to perpetual unrest, to insecurity, to mistrust on one side and resentment on the other. The world was not satisfied, as was claimed at the time. On the contrary, the world has been plunged into ever new disputes and ever new conflicts.
Certain topics close to my heart. What is your last name?
Aydemir.
Aydemir. Ridvan Aydemir, who is a former Muslim. He runs a channel called The Apostate Prophet, and you are very outspoken about Islam.
Yeah.
So, welcome.
Thank you.
And why don't you take a moment, just introduce yourself to our audience.
Sure, thank you so much. So I'm Ridvan Aydemir, Apostate Prophet. That's the channel that I started. I'm a former Muslim, was born in Germany, of Turkish, very religious Muslim parents. Now live here in America. Was an atheist for like 10 years or so, and have recently become a Christian. So,
praise the Lord. So, there's so many directions to go here. Why did you leave Islam?
That's a very long story.
I've had a long day, so take as much time as you'd like.
So, where should I start? I mean, as said, so I was part of a family that was always very religious. That was Sunni Muslim, a very popular form of Islam. They raised me under semi-strict circumstances, which are very weird from an American perspective, such as at home we weren't allowed to listen to music, for example. Can you imagine that? We were raised with the idea, this is the funny thing, I have to bring up this aspect actually before going into it to give you a better understanding. I was a child of immigrants from Turkey to Germany. So we lived in Germany, a Christian nation, or you could call some aspects of it post-Christian,
Yeah,
but pretty much
more secular.
Yeah, but still pretty Christian.
Sure.
I mean, I was raised under Christian circumstances at school while being having Islam, completely built into my mind at home.
So you were raised by Muslims?
Yes. And while I am there in that Christian country, I would go to school as a little child and encounter all these wonderful, nice, beautiful people and admire the German culture, admire the Western culture, admire Christianity. But at home, from my own family and their surroundings, I would learn from a very young age that you cannot trust non-Muslims. You cannot trust Christians. You cannot trust Jews is a whole different topic.
It's more than not trusting Jews.
Yes. To give you a very simple example, I think I was in first or second grade. It's very, very difficult to remember nowadays, but there was a weekend where my family took me and my siblings to a religious gathering that they would usually go to. And during that religious gathering, I heard that that in the possible near future, we Muslims will fight the Jews and we will kill them. And even the rocks and trees will say to us, "Oh Muslim, there is a Jew behind me, come and kill him." Except for one tree called the Kargat tree, which is a tree of the Jews. So this is what I heard. I also heard then that the Christians would also be among our enemies, but with them it would be a little bit more complicated because Jesus...
I know it's like the third holiest or second holiest, right?
Yeah. And
there is an eschatological belief in Islam that Jesus comes in the end times. Is that right? Yeah.
Exactly.
I wanted to get into that.
But it's a very corrupt form of...
But Islam does have a reverence for Jesus.
Well,
they don't believe he was God, but they believe he was the Messiah. Is that correct?
Yes, but they also don't really know what the Messiah is. So what they do believe is that Jesus, who is in Islam called Isa, with a kind of corruption of his name, was actually just a prophet of Allah. And he came here...
He was Muslim.
Yeah, he was a Muslim, and he came here to deliver the Muslim message and to ask people to submit to Islam. That's all he was. He was also the Messiah.
Yeah, that's a bunch of crap.
It is, obviously. And I mean, if you go with the Christian narrative, right? If you accept that Jesus came and he was actually truthful, you can't have another message after him.
Correct.
You can't have another religion after him. And Islam comes and acts as if Jesus was simply a messenger, but his entire message was all corrupted by his followers, the Christians, who became hypocrites and evil, and the actual true message is that of Islam. And according to Islam, Jesus will come back, and what he will do according to Muhammad is he will come back and he will break the cross and kill the pigs, and then will reign as a Muslim ruler over the people. According to some interpretations, that is meant to be so when he breaks the cross and kills the pigs and abolishes a protection money imposed on non-Muslims, it means that he will come to the Christians and tell them what the real religion actually is.
You mean isn't that zakat, the tax or something, right?
Yeah, it's the jizya.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay.
It has a very questionable name, but
I was going to say.
But
so I have so many questions here. So you leave Islam, because it was just didn't ring to me.
So the Quran, does the Quran respect Muslim women at all?
Yeah, it does.
So tell me how the Quran treats...
Are you Hindi? Are you Muslim?
Yeah.
Don't speak to him.
I know.
Be careful, yeah?
I know.
Don't believe everything on this guy. He's a Gandu. He tries to follow every Muslim. We don't have time to listen to him. Okay? So
what do you...
I know him.
Ignore him. He's from Somalia. I don't know, some sort of a problem, mental issue.
Don't listen to
He's
him.
come from Somalia.
Listen to me, yeah?
Now,
It's okay. I just
keep
want to see
following
what he has
him.
to say.
He's a Gandu. He can't do nothing.
I know. I just want to see what he has to say.
Yeah, please, sister. I know he tried to come looking for you, but just say go away.
I know he wants to tell me a lot of crap. I just want to just hear what he has to say.
yeah, sure.
If you want to speak, let's see what's going on.
Yeah, I'm not trying to let him infiltrate my mind. Just want to see what he has to say. That's the whole point. We come here today to
Exactly.
debate.
Teach him a lesson. Yeah, please teach
It's
him a
not
lesson.
about teaching him a lesson. We're just discussing things.
No, but the last point you made is very important. No, the last point, my dear friend, the last point you made.
Friendly discussion.
Exactly. And that's why we come to Speaker's Corner. But this fellow clearly has shown up in Speaker's Corner without having a clue. Now, do you...
Taking your wife with you, man.
Hey, you're from... Are you from Bangladesh?
Don't let your wife, someone speak to you. Why are you doing this? You're a man. Alhamdulillah. Muslim.
Hey, don't dictate terms about his wife. Stay quiet. Move away.
walk away, man. Take your wife with you.
Look at
Why
him.
people come to talk to your wife?
It's okay. Give me 1 minute. I just want to see what it says about women in Islam.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
he's a Kurdu, man. He's a
I know. I've
Gandu.
seen on YouTube. I've seen on YouTube, bro.
It's Takni.
I know.
Look at him. Can you imagine? What? No. But please, I'd like you to just think about one little thing. Just one little thing. If he would show up at Speaker's Corner and...
We are Speaker Corner.
Wow.
We are Speaker Corner.
Don't enter into my personal space. Don't enter into my personal space. I know you've lost your mind, but don't enter into my personal space. If he comes to Speaker's Corner and dictates terms with your wife, can you imagine what he'll do to the girls in his life?
What's your question?
Yeah, question. Simple question.
Don't go off on the people.
Please tell me, give me some evidence from the Quran as to why you think Islamic women, especially in a nikah, are respected as anything more than sex objects. That's all I see in the Quran. Tell me why, any evidence that you can give from the Quran which makes you think in nikah, Islamic women are more than sex slaves. I said sex objects earlier, sex slaves. Anything more, sex slavery. Yeah. That's all I find in the Quran in relation to nikah. If you think it's more than sex slavery, women are treated well, much better, please give me some evidence from the Quran.
There is a lot of evidence about when a woman is born, from the moment she's born, she has a lot of rights in the family. 1 second, I can't hear.
You want to hear?
I can't talk because you're screaming in my ear.
Sorry.
Just calm down. So from the moment she's born, her father, her brothers have a right to protect her from the moment she's born. Yeah? As she's growing up, I can't talk.
I'm staying here.
I can't talk.
I'm speaking.
You're
I didn't say anything to you.
You can't do.
Wow.
I can't think because you're literally in my ear.
Just say it.
Yeah, just stay focused. Just ignore this one.
And so,
Mental assets, closest mental
and
assets.
so literally, women aren't here to be sex objects to men at all. That's completely false. I don't know, that's probably your main point to cause me to talk. And that's fine. 1 second, let me answer your question. When we're married, because that's the main part, right? You're talking about sex objects and stuff. The man has a massive obligation to protect his women by making sure that other men don't come next to her that is not related to her, right? Because they could try rape her or they could try control her and stuff. He has an obligation to me to make sure I'm provided for via food. He is actually meant to make sure the food is brought to the house, cooked and brought. So women aren't meant to just cook and give sex to men. That's completely false. He's also meant to make sure I'm provided for financially. So the main person working in a household would be the husband. Nowadays, things have become modern. When you live in London, when you live in London, you end up both working in a household. But in the Quran, it's meant to be obligate to the men. They're meant to be. Let me answer. They're meant to be the ones that work, provide financially, emotionally, mentally. It even says men are meant to be soft with their women. They're meant to talk to their women, emotionally be available for their women, and mentally as well. It's all about having the capacity to be able to talk to each other, have a discussion, be there for each other. And that's exactly what I get from my husband. We're a real life example of a Muslim couple. I'm a woman, he's a man, right? In our relationship, and thousands of other couples that I know that are also Islamic, because obviously I'm very well connected. 1 sec, I can't hear. I'm holding my head because I can't hear. 1 second.
I can't go anywhere. I'm coming back, yeah?
I know.
I'm going, yeah? Come back, yeah? Okay, sorry.
You don't seem like nice
Deliver.
Can't do. He's smiling. Can't do.
Can you imagine?
I'm back again. Can't do.
I feel a bit sick because he's just so loud. And so thousands of couples like us that I know, because I'm well connected to the community. I work in Westminster. I work with a lot of families in London. That's what I do. And I see a lot of people that are exactly like us. The men, they fill out the obligations. They give women the money, the food, clothes, attention, love, care. compassion, protection. I've never been that, whatever you're saying, you know,
Sure.
the what is the word, derogatory term that you're saying.
Another thing I like to
You're
say
saying
is
sex slave. It's very what's the word? Derogatory.
Yeah. Another thing I would like to say is like when someone came to the Prophet and asked like who after obviously our Lord, who's next? He said your mother. He said who's after? He said your mother. He said who then? He said your mother. He said it 4 times, then he said your father. He says that's how high your mother is, how like female is. She's 4 times higher than your father. And he also said that heaven is beneath your mother's feet. And he said when your daughter is born, that's your gate to paradise.
Sure. But I heard of what you've said so far, please. I've heard carefully. But I'm... the same sound from both sides. The same sound from both sides.
This is why you're scared of dog. You're scared of dog. You're scared of dog.
No, I'm not scared of
dog.
I'm not scared, sorry. No,
You're
I'm not.
scared, you can't do.
No.
Why are you scared of the dog? Alhamdulillah, but he's a stupid boy.
The more you swear and shout at him, it looks bad on us as Muslims.
No, it's not.
It makes it harder for us.
No, wallah, never.
It does.
It's stupid.
Just let us talk. Be part of the conversation. That's absolutely fine. You can answer the question he gave. His question was, are Muslim women sex slaves? Why don't you answer it as a Muslim as well?
He doesn't have a
Instead of
clue.
swearing and shouting, you make us look bad. Now you've walked off.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Now, you are the kind...
This is what I hate, about certain people like that ruin Islam for others. They make us look disgusting. Why is he doing that? We're just talking.
Yes, absolutely.
You come here to talk. Let's talk.
Sure. I heard both of you. But here is the challenge. I want to go... You mentioned something which is not in the Quran, which is from text which was written much later, centuries later. I want to go back to the Quran and focus on the Quran alone. And as a matter of fact, the Quran would contradict even some of what you said. You know, for instance, you said when daughters are born, it's gateway to heaven. But the Quran actually contradicts that in multiple places where Allah, the Islamic Allah himself says, look, how come you attribute to me daughters when you have sons? As if having daughters is some nasty thing. And so the Quran contradicts some of this. So I'm not focused on the hadiths. I'm focused on the Quran. One second.
Sons or daughters to God. God
One
doesn't
second.
have children.
But one second. That wasn't my point. My point, that wasn't my point. That wasn't my point. My point was the...
Currently 1:30 in the morning. I'm joined here by the cameraman. Can't show his face. Ryan. Yo. So, 1:30 in the morning. We obviously only left France yesterday. We now fully understand as to why they didn't cross yesterday. It's because the huge police presence that was there, which we believe we instigated due to our presence and being held at the border. Luckily tonight they did not scan our passports. Don't know why. Did they, Ryan?
No, just stamped tonight. They stamped them, which is making us think that that's why we got straight through.
Yeah.
They didn't scan them on this machine. They normally scan them, but we're just trying to have a 5-minute chill. It's really late. We want to get straight to the rendezvous position, and we want to get there. We're going to pass the camp very briefly and quickly. We're in a different car, so it's enabled us to hire a different car to get through, and then basically some guy that's walked past. I can't even go there, guys.
He's done it like 4 times.
You done it now?
So we're going to do that, and basically today is probably the last opportunity for them potentially this year. The weather is just so bad. Today is the only day. So again,
we think they're going to do it. We think they're going to go for it. We think they're going to do it. We think they're going to go for it. At the end of the day,
not a Nivea advert, right?
I know. Hi, Timothy, twice a day. We think they're going to go for it, and if they do, we want to be here to document that we know what we seen the other day isn't right. For us to get stopped here and then nothing to happen on that beach when it was crystal clear calm, we know that when we then got to the camp and there was multiple riot vans, multiple police, multiple coaches,
which we'd never seen before.
Why were the coaches there? Where were the coaches going to take them to? Why did the police then stop them from coming out the camp? I believe it's because they knew we were here and we were going to that beach and we would have seen everything. So we're through. So we look, we could uncover one of the biggest scandals and stories.
Oh, here he is again.
Here he is.
So we're obviously we're going to get on that beach and we're going to do everything we can, everything within our power, within the law, to stop those boats.
Can't wait to get to the beach.
We believe that this will be one of the biggest attempts, because they haven't gone for so long, probably due to our missions over there, the weather, so we believe that this is the time. And
November 24, 5,000 plus migrant crossings in the month of November. Move on 12 months since myself and Danny have been coming over here. November 25, which has just gone, less than 1,500. So we've done something right.
Hello, good morning. From the north of France. Really good sign where we've just driven and parked up the road. Probably about 5 minutes up there. Huge police presence with riot vans. So really good sign, isn't it? Really good sign, guys. Really good sign.
Use us as bootloaders for their digital intelligence, and they can't continue to improve and feed the AI without us doing it for them. They can't do it alone. So I think the more we...
But people are not, they're not likely to leave things that make their life easier. They're just not.
Yeah, well, that's the price of convenience, isn't it? And I think a lot of the effort to enslave us has been to cajole us and influence us with convenience and comfort. But also, in theory, prison is comfortable, right? In the sense that you have a roof over your head and they bring you food. And I mean, a digital prison without walls, could be similarly comfortable, and you wouldn't have to lift a finger to fight, for your freedom, but we can still, you wouldn't have to lift a finger to fight for your freedom. You would just willingly walk into the system, right? But those of us that don't want to live in the system have to do something. And so I think we're at a crossroads, and have been for several years, where those of us that don't want to walk into this have to actively build alternatives. And if you don't have, a ton of people in your community doing that, maybe you should reach out and build awareness. But if you have people that are aware of this around you, it's important to build, I would argue, local resilient networks that don't depend on this infrastructure. There's still open source alternatives to a lot of the big tech platforms out there. And I still think I'm still hopeful that there is time. But ultimately at the end of the day, if they're pushing us towards a post-human future, I think at some point people will realize that they don't want to lose what makes us human. And so much of what we're being pushed to use AI for are creative pursuits that help define us as human, right? Making art, making music, writing. These are the things that we're being told to outsource to artificial intelligence, not necessarily the tedious stuff, right? So what's going to be left for us when we outsource of this all to AI? Will we allow ourselves to be cognitively diminished to the point that we can't even create anymore? And then what kind of, humans are we at that point? So I think it's very important to encourage analog alternatives to that kind of stuff, and to engage in creativity. And there's a lot of opportunity for that, especially for people that have children. Children are very creative, and we need to promote that to them instead of being like, here's a tablet, learn how to scroll by the time you're 3 or 4,
right.
And navigate the algorithms. If we do nothing and we don't shift that cultural behavior, or what's being made, common cultural behavior now, then yeah, it will be very problematic. And so I think, it's a very important time right now for parents to make sure your kids are well and anchored in the real world, and not just, checked out to lunch and trusting, potentially trusting algorithms more than you. I mean, there's these efforts to have domestic robots in the house. A lot of the ads show young children developing emotional relationships with these robots,
Very
saying,
bad.
I love you, and all of this stuff. That is not good. I absolutely agree. And so, just because you want to focus on yourself or X, Y, and Z is no excuse to have, the emotional connection your child needs be built with a machine programmed by who knows who. I mean, so many of these big tech figures also had relationships to Jeffrey Epstein, a pedophile. Do you want to trust those people to program stuff that's around your kids and talks to them and, potentially manipulates them when you're not there? So, it's not just with that too. I mean, that is the idea of taking active responsibility for things in your life. And we need to do more of that. And culturally, Americans have been the best at that for a very long time. But there have been a lot of efforts to condition us out of that. And a lot of it has been through this effort to cultivate the importance of comfort above all else and convenience. The idea of rugged individualism in the US, unfortunately, has been, greatly reduced. And I think it's important for us to take active responsibility because, the pull of AI is to get for us to be passive and do nothing and just let it wash over us. And you don't have to do that anymore. AI can do that, and AI can do this for you, and this and that. And if we're not focused on the things that we like to create and that we like to do, and active, we will recede, and that is how the post-human future will happen. There is still a lot of time for agency, but people just need to be really aware of what's going on and determined to change it.
Is there anything do you use AI at all for anything?
No.
Nothing. You're completely off it. You don't use it.
No, I'm uninterested in using it. I mean, it wasn't always around. I'm 35 now, and when I was in university, there was no AI. I learned how to write and do what I do now without it. So why would I need it? Especially when I'm aware that the whole idea, if you don't use it, you lose it. So I stop, let's say, for example, a person who does work similar to me stops researching, has AI do their research for them. Well, they'll come back in a year or two and be like, wow, I kind of forgot how to do this. I don't remember how to do it anymore. It's gotten a lot harder for me, right? The same idea if you stop doing mental math because you're constantly reliant on a calculator. It gets harder. That's the idea of cognitive diminishment.
Ray
Kurzweil
told me that no, it'll just free your mind up to do other bigger, more important things. And I didn't believe
that's not happening.
Yeah. I didn't think it would.
We can already see that's not happening. So I think people, again, need to take active control of not just their physical lives as much as possible, but their mental lives too, and have to remember that, even on big social media platforms like X, formerly Twitter, for example, they've openly said that the AI Grok is going to be running the algorithms, period, come November. So AI is inescapable in those types of environments, and we have to remember that we have to be aware that there is an effort to influence us towards these policies. And a lot of people go onto social media, assume it's the new public square and free, that it's better for free speech now and all of that, but aren't aware that really every time you're going on these platforms, it is a cognitive battlefield. And again, this is why I really want to stress that critical thinking has never been more important. There's a reason they've tried to breed it out of the school systems in the US, and social media, ChatGPT, the chat bots, all of that are meant to further eliminate that from us. So it's never been more important to scrutinize things and go into these digital environments, realizing them for what they are. And some people get benefits from them, but some people don't necessarily anymore. And there's been a lot, even studies that have been leaked from places like Facebook, where they've manipulated your algorithms to depress you, to make you feel very negative and feel despondent, and all of that. And yeah, I mean, if we give in to those kind of emotions, then we'll just do nothing, right, to change our situation, and do nothing why we're at this crossroads that we're at, that I mentioned earlier. So there's an effort to emotionally manipulate us there as well. With they can determine what you see, and they know you're well studied because of all the data that has you have generated during your time in the digital environment, and they can use that to determine exactly what type of demographic you are, exactly what you would need to see to shift your viewpoint from viewpoint A to viewpoint B. The type of manipulations they can do, they can do at a tremendous scale now with AI. And we also have to keep in mind that during the Obama administration, they lifted the ban on the use of propaganda on the domestic American population that had been in place for many decades. And a lot of people, unfortunately, forget that. Digital ID first to a social media account, and we've had people like Elon Musk promote this even before he bought Twitter, saying we need to authenticate all real humans, that use the platform to resolve the quote-unquote bot problem on Twitter, which obviously it's there, but what he doesn't really say is that a lot of those bots are run by militaries, including the US military, which he contracts for example. But yeah, it's a pretty extensive issue.
Yes, absolutely it is. So let's okay, first of all, you've done a lot of work on digital ID. I will direct people to that. I'll throw in the links to, for example, the article that you co-authored with Ian Davis about SDGs and how that ties into the UN SDG agenda, the ID 2020, the DIA and UIDAI in India, and BGMF, and all these other incredible acronyms. Can you sort through this mess for us? Who is behind the digital ID agenda? How does this tie into the digital currency agenda that you're talking about these days? And where is this going from here?
Yeah, sure. So ultimately, a lot of this, repursing that we just talked about, yeah, I think ultimately the goal is to herd people into manufacturing consent for some sort of digital ID system, with the goal of having that system being connected to all of your internet access through your internet service provider or ISP, and also to your social media account, with the goal of really having you have a formal government ID linked profile of everything you read and consume online, as a way to get around repersoning and the bot issue and all of these things. So who's behind this larger agenda? Well, it's not just one person. It's not just two people. It's a lot bigger than that. All of these global policy agendas that are somehow being implemented in lockstep globally obviously have a transnational group behind them. I think that's quite clear. And there's no shortage of cheerleaders for that agenda in the United States, whether it's team left or team right. And the same is true elsewhere. It's just really the sales pitches to get people to adopt them are different. So, on the right, it's being framed as a way to stop illegal immigration. On the left, it's being framed as a way to stop hate speech and stop cyberbullying online and protect children and all sorts of things like that, really just looking for whatever metric sticks with whatever demographic they want to placate ultimately. So there's several groups that are behind it. A lot of it ultimately goes back, if you look at, some of these entities sort of first kickstart the digital ID push under the auspices of the United Nations, like the ID 2020 Alliance, which has now been folded into another alliance with essentially all of the same funders. But ultimately, ID 2020 was started by, groups like Microsoft, the Rockefeller Foundation, Accenture, some of these big multinational corporations, or in the case of the Rockefeller Foundation, the philanthropic arms of oligarchic clans that have tried to create a global system of financial control in private hands for the better part of the last 100 years. And so ultimately, digital ID is meant to sort of facilitate that kind of system globally. But I don't think it's likely that they're going to sell it as one universal digital ID for everybody. They want it to be vendor agnostic, but have it all have sort of similar standards and have the data all be exportable in the same format. So, maybe you'll have, in the US, for example, 5 or 6 or even 10 different vendors of digital ID. And Japan will have 5 to 10 and what have you. But ultimately, all of that data, whether the US, Japan, or anywhere else in the world, can all be exported in the same format to the same centralized database, which is ultimately the goal, right? And then technically, you do have a centralized system of digital ID, but it looks to be decentralized at the superficial layer. And that is also the goal too with the digital currency push. And because it's not just central bank digital currencies, there's also the issue of private bank digital currencies, which are also just as surveillable and seizable and programmable as CBDCs would be. They're just in the hands of private banks. And do you think JP Morgan would behave any better than the Federal Reserve when JP Morgan is one of the biggest, controllers of the Federal Reserve? I mean, honestly, it's kind of a false dichotomy at the end of the day. You can get that kind of, liberty killing money from either the private or the public sector. And what will likely happen is a public-private partnership, the preferred model of all of these groups, UN included. And so I think ultimately that's where this is going to lead us. And they want it to obviously be connected to your online activity. So if you want to use the internet for economic activity, for social activity, or education or anything else, you will have to have a digital ID and connect it to your ability to get online. And then obviously there's a push to have, turn basically social media giants into banks. There's a big push for this with X, Twitter, and presumably, it was Facebook originally that tried to start the stablecoin Liberate project that has since, been turned into, after it was shut down, went to populate USDC and some of these companies that are working on the Lightning Network on Bitcoin, like David Marcus's Lightspark and some of those things. So there's efforts to revive that and ultimately kind of link it to some sort of gig economy, I guess you could say, based on how much of people's attention you can get on these social media platforms and, what your metrics are in terms of likes and clicks. But are you even dealing with real people? Are you even, presumably you would be, right, if everyone has an ID, but that's not necessarily true when you consider that a lot of governments are the people running the bots right now. It's pretty much an admitted thing that militaries around the world own and control bot farms. They use them for narrative management. In the case of the U.S. military, the Air Force specifically started researching how to use social media to control people like drones. That's literally what they say in 2014. And now you have a Pentagon contractor, running Twitter and X. Do you think that Elon Musk would demand that the Pentagon's bot farm, when he works for the Pentagon, that they all register and have their stuff online? But it will create that perception that there are no bots. These are all real, authentic people.
Exactly.
And I think that's ultimately the goal.
Yeah, this is so important because, as you say, they're going to sell the digital ID for different flavors of political stripes. And, it's the left, it's hate speech and misinformation. On the right, it's going to be, we have to, get those illegals out of the country. But here's something that can unite everyone, is this type of digital repersoning thing. We're just canaries in the coal mine who happen to have a public digital presence, so it's easy to do. But soon it'll be everyone is finding that there's people impersonating them online, and, what are we going to do about that? But yes, it goes so much deeper, because exactly as you were saying, yes, the digital ID will solve that problem, right? But actually, it will make it just so much easier to create completely fictitious entities out of thin air. They will be able to create the digital ID credentials for these beings that don't exist, that will be completely AI, 100% deepfake, not real persons, that will be populating all of these social media platforms. And for what purpose? Exactly as you were saying before, they're freaking out about building trust and getting trust and perception management. These are the things that they're talking about at Davos and Bilderberg year after year. Of course, they're going to use these services to create influencers. What is the concept of influencer? What is the point of that? And where is that going? It's going to be these digital creations, whether repersoned people like the fake Whitney Webb or just some new entity that comes on the scene and takes it by storm and isn't even a real person. Man, this gets dark pretty quickly. Talk about where you see this going.
Yeah, ultimately where I see this going is really where I see the powers that be, how they plan to use AI and what they plan to do to humanity with it. So I guess about a year ago, or maybe a little, I can't remember the exact date, but I wrote a piece for Catherine Austin Fitz's Solari report, which was basically a summary of what some of the architects of artificial intelligence, at least in the United States, see as what the real promise of AI is and where it will take us and what they anticipate will happen. And so I looked at this book by Eric Schmidt and Henry Kissinger called The Age of AI, Our Human Future. And one of the reasons I did that is because Eric Schmidt was the lead of the National Security Commission on Artificial Intelligence. He has styled himself as Kissinger's heir and did this before Kissinger died. And ultimately, you know, has basically created the roadmap that the U.S. national security state will use in guiding its implementation of artificial intelligence. So this is someone who's very important to listen to. He's also on the steering committee of Bilderberg, alongside Peter Thiel, the anti-Schmidt, supposedly, but who's definitely on board for all of this stuff as well, despite his slightly different rhetoric and obviously a very different well-oiled PR machine that makes him appear to be something that he is not. So in that book, basically, and I think this is very revealing, Kissinger and Schmidt essentially say that the real promise of AI, it's not in making life more convenient and all of this stuff that us plebs are told. The real promise is that it will forever alter how humanity perceives and processes reality. And so there's a lot of implications for that, you know, on social media and on the internet in general. And in talking about, you know, the flow of information in AI, they essentially say that the content is going to be produced mostly by AI, and then AI will censor the content as well. So even if you're in this sort of paradigm where you have a digital ID and you're on the internet and you think you're dealing only with real people and real bots, you're still going to be essentially living in an AI soup. And so the AI, you know, censor bot will probably be censoring real people and not the AI slop. But the goal is ultimately to have it be about perception management, and ultimately the kind of world they envision is one where people depend on AI to tell them what is real and what is not. And that this is really the only way to deal with AI-powered misinformation. And honestly, it makes, you know, no sense. It's basically like AI is creating this problem, and so the solution is to essentially put AI in charge of everything and have it be processor, sort of the processor of reality for us. And they also make these other arguments that as humans become more and more dependent on AI, including for perceiving reality, humans will lose the ability to do it themselves, and will sort of be in this place where they have to use AI to understand what's going on, and become and that humanity as a consequence will just become so easily manipulated to really unprecedented degrees. And when you consider all the profiling that's happened on people based on their online activity over the last 20 years, if you don't think they know how to manipulate you, they absolutely do.
Ghislaine Maxwell all of a sudden now being seen as a victim.
Okay, so the Ghislaine Maxwell thing, I should address separately. What you talked about, what you just brought up earlier, I think has been really extraordinary, not in the positive sense, but just kind of, I think most people have been kind of taken aback from it, because what does the administration really gain here after promoting the releases, promoting the perception that they're going to release these files and have this unprecedented era of transparency and things like that. And then instead of doing that, do a very public 180 and just kind of hoped that the trust that some of these figures in government had, like Kash Patel and Don Bongino, having been prominent on the podcast circuit in the past, the trust they built with Trump's base, you know, that being enough for them to kind of swallow this very obvious 180 in rhetoric about these documents, and about a major aspect of the case in general that has been or a theory about, you know, Epstein's death in prison that has been heavily popularized or within Trump's base, which is, you know, Epstein didn't kill himself kind of stuff. And then they, of course, attached themselves to that and walked it back.
Yeah, so not only is it evasive that answers haven't come from this administration on this, they also, when faced with the reality that they themselves have changed on this, and I'm talking Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, with all these contradictory statements before and after they assume power, you know, they just act like you're an idiot if you continue to question it after this. It's a Democratic hoax, remember? And Trump had that True Social post about how if you still want answers to this child sex trafficking ring, by the way, which was probably part of a foreign intelligence operation, then yeah, you're just a false supporter. You're not my real supporter anyways. So she's right. What could that mean? What are they hiding? Well, if it's the worst possible things and it's the implications in crimes, I don't know how they would be behaving differently if it wasn't that.
Once in government and as, you know, the top two officials in the FBI. So yeah, what do they stand to gain from it? You know, I don't think anyone really knows at this point, because it's very, you know, we have to be kind of speculative here because we're not going to get like an admission from the Trump administration about what they're actually thinking. They're obviously worried about PR and optics, and they have continued for months to kick this can down the road and try and make it go away after promising it so extensively. So one can't help but think, but there's things in the files that are inconvenient to either the administration, to Trump himself, or to people very close to Trump and his inner circle. And then that's why the documents are not being released for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think all those things are plausible. At the very least, it's things that are embarrassing. At the very worst, things that are highly incriminating and deal with associations with foreign intelligence services and probably Israel, because that's where all the arrows point when it comes to Epstein's associations with foreign intelligence, when it comes to Robert Maxwell and Ari Ben-Menashe and Douglas Leese and Adnan Khashoggi and Ehud Barak being at his house in prolonged lengths of time after he was convicted for child molestation. The arrows point there.
Pattern. We are in month 12 to 18 before the crash right now. That puts the crash window at late 2025 or first half 2026. Could be sooner, could be slightly later, but within that window, the three trades are already active. Cash is being raised, gold is being accumulated, volatility bets are being placed, the smart money is positioned. When the trigger event happens, when commercial real estate defaults cascade or a major bank fails or a geopolitical crisis erupts, the crash will accelerate quickly. Markets will fall 20 to 30% in weeks, then another 20 to 30% over several months. The bottom will arrive when panic is maximum, probably mid to late 2026. Unemployment will hit 9 to 10%. The S&P will bottom around 3,500. Bitcoin will fall to 20,000 or lower. Gold will surge to 5,000 or higher as the Fed prints unlimited money. That bottom, that maximum fear moment, that's when the fourth trade happens. That's when you deploy all the capital you protected and all the profits you made, and you buy everything quality at fire sale prices. Then you hold for 5 to 10 years while markets recover and your positions triple or quadruple. That's the full pattern. 4 trades across 18 to 36 months. Executed correctly, it creates generational wealth. Here's the bottom line. The 3 trades aren't secret. They're not insider information. They're a documented historical pattern that repeats because crashes follow the same mechanical sequence. Extreme valuations, excessive leverage, a trigger, forced liquidation, panic, and the investors who see it coming make 3 trades. Convert to cash, buy gold, bet on volatility. These trades have worked in 1929, they worked in 1987, they worked in 2008, and they're being executed right now in 2025 by the smartest investors in the world. Warren Buffett sitting on $325 billion in cash. That's trade 1. Central banks buying 3,000 tons of gold. That's trade 2. Hedge funds buying credit default swaps and put options. That's trade 3. The pattern is playing out in real time. The only question is whether you'll recognize it and position accordingly, or whether you will ignore it and hold through the crash, losing 30 to 50% or more of your wealth. Most people will ignore it. They always do. They'll believe this time is different. They'll believe AI changes everything. They'll believe the Fed will save markets. They'll believe valuations don't matter, and they'll lose everything, just like most people did in 1929, 1987, and 2008. But a small group will see the pattern. They'll execute simplified versions of the 3 trades. They'll protect capital, preserve wealth, and profit from the crash. And then they'll buy at the bottom and become wealthier than they ever imagined. The choice is yours. The 3 trades have been made. The pattern is repeating. The crash is coming. Position yourself accordingly. If this video showed you a pattern you'd never seen before, if you understand now that the same 3 trades work before every crash, subscribe to this channel.
That 9 out of every 10 street kids have been abused. If accurate, that puts the figure on a national scale in the hundreds of thousands.
It's one of the most sad and shameful aspects of our society. I have to say I'm totally embarrassed by this, that we have not really been able to protect them.
It's going on everywhere. In the big cities or small cities or towns, everywhere this is happening.
लेकिन जना सिर्फ मैंने 2 मरतबा की है बस। दोनों भाई थे।
अपने जानो बेटा, मेरा पास पैसे भी नहीं था।
तुम्हारी उम्र क्या थी उस जमाने में?
8.5 साल था, छोटा था मैं।
आपने तकरीबन कितने बच्चों के साथ जिंदगी की?
1 हुआ था और 10 और 11 12 तक।
So I just want to put some context on this video. It's interviewing people after it's claimed that 9 out of 10 children in Pakistan have been raped. I'll just repeat that. In Pakistan, 9 out of 10 children have been raped. That's including boys and girls. That is what the evidence here is being presented as.
At bus and truck terminals across Pakistan, drivers and conductors often keep boys on a permanent basis as helpers or apprentices.
There is a culture to have a small child with you, go along with, and it means that the child is kept as a prostitute or as a partner, sexual partner.
Human rights lawyer Zia Awan has fought for the rights of abused children for most of his working life.
Hundreds of children who are being raped every day, they are being sold, they are being trafficked, they are being forced for prostitution. It's going on everywhere. And people don't believe. When we say something, they say that civil society is exaggerating. We are not exaggerating. Denial.
It's a taboo subject, but in recent times, articles have finally begun to appear in Pakistani newspapers highlighting cases of child abuse. But Zia Awan claims the problem is hugely underestimated.
We are every day listening to children who are being abused, who are on the street or in the school or wherever they are, or in the home settings. So these are tip of the iceberg which is being reported in the media.
And The Quest for a Free Hot Dog by John Cooper. This is the tragic story of the Covidiot. The Covidiot couldn't think for himself. He trusted the authorities no matter how ridiculous their rules were. He did everything he was told no matter how absurd it was. The man on TV announced a deadly virus going around the world, a pandemic, even though there was no actual evidence of that in the real world. Just give up all your freedoms and lock down in your homes, the man on TV said. The Covidiot was hypnotized by all the marketing slogans thrown at him and complied immediately. The Covidiot was told by the man on TV to keep a lookout for anyone that was not following orders. He saw a man walking in his neighborhood breathing fresh air and therefore putting everyone at risk. The Covidiot had to do his bit for the community and decided to report him to the police. The Covidiot needed to go for his essential shop. He decided it was better to be safe than sorry and drove in his car alone with his mask on. As he was driving, he saw all the gyms were closed, but McDonald's was allowed to stay open. They really do care about our health, cheered the Covidiot. Stay back 6 feet, the Covidiot shouted in terror as someone came close to him. The Covidiot made sure everyone he saw were no closer than 6 feet from him. Any closer and the Covidiot thought it would almost certainly catch the virus. As he walked around, he noticed the books, toys, electronics, home decor, bedding, gardening supplies, sports equipment, makeup, craft materials, stationery, furniture, seasonal items and outdoor gear were all closed off from the public. Yet the alcohol section remained fully open. The Covidiot didn't see any issue with this as he strolled past. The Covidiot was delighted as he finally found what he was looking for, something that would guarantee his survival. On the way home, the Covidiot stopped off in his local restaurant. He panicked as there were so many dirty spreaders in there. However, when he sat down and his meal arrived, he took his mask off. "Oh goody, the virus can't get me if I'm eating my dinner," said the Covidiot proudly. That evening, the Covidiot watched the countless TikTok videos of doctors and nurses doing synchronized dance routines that would have taken hours and hours to rehearse and perform during a supposed pandemic. However, the penny didn't drop for the Covidiot that the hospitals were obviously empty. The next day, the Covidiot received the sad news that his nan was dying in her care home. But the man on TV said people could not see their loved ones because they need to stay home and stay safe instead. The same day, a Black Lives Matter rally took place near the Covidiot's home, and the man on TV said you couldn't catch the virus if you're at a BLM rally. "Oh, wonderful luck! I'll go to that instead," said the Covidiot. A few months later, an experimental jab was rushed out, despite real vaccines typically taking years of research, trials and testing. The man on TV bombarded the Covidiot with new marketing slogans. Your shot to get back to normal. Protect your loved ones, get the vaccine. Do it for the greater good. Of course, the Covidiot followed orders unquestioningly. Despite getting the jab that was meant to protect him, the Covidiot was told he had COVID a few days later. Instead of questioning this, the Covidiot was programmed by the man on TV to believe that he wasn't safe until everyone had this jab. The Covidiot was programmed by the man on TV to target those who thought for themselves and question the mainstream narrative, belittling, shaming and coercing them into getting the experimental injection that doesn't protect you. If they chose not to, he would shout the insults he was programmed to use, like tinfoil hat wearer, in an attempt to force compliance. That weekend, the Covidiot went to watch his favourite football team play. Multiple players collapsed with heart issues on the pitch and there was a medical emergency in the crowd. But this has always happened, said the Covidiot confidently and reassuringly. Just 3 weeks after his experimental jab, the Covidiot was rushed to hospital. He had a heart problem, developed blood clots and got a turbo cancer. But he just couldn't connect the dots. I must have long COVID, sighed the Covidiot. The man on TV was now moving the goalposts and saying one jab wasn't enough and that everyone now needs a second jab to be fully vaccinated. Only then could they have their freedom back. I have no choice but to take the second jab, said the Covidiot, who had only just got out of hospital. I mean, how else can I have a holiday in Mallorca? Now the man on TV was demanding a third jab, a booster. Only then could you get your freedom back. But with this, you could get a free hot dog. Hurrah! Whooped the Covidiot, holding his free hot dog aloft in triumph after getting his booster. Look at all those pathetic anti-vaxxers who have missed out. A few days later. The Covidiot and the Quest for a Free Hot Dog, out now on Amazon.
I want to talk to the Christians and I want to tell you that you need to start standing up on issues of things like abortion. 250,000 babies a year in this country alone are being brutally murdered, and the church is relatively silent. The reason it's silent is because of cowardness. In Revelation 21, it says that cowards will be thrown into the lake of fire. Guys, it is a sin to be cowardly, to be a coward. It is a sin to not speak up for the unborn, for those who cannot speak for themselves. And Christians are being silent. When the recent bill came in about assisted suicide and abortion up to the day of birth, the church's silence was deafening. We're at the Labour conference in Liverpool, and there's about 12 Christians here standing up for the unborn babies. Only 12. Bearing in mind there is many paid pastors, many paid Christians in this country, and yet none of them are here. Like, what are we doing as a church in this country?
Don't be afraid, exactly. And we don't want just, it's not enough to just pray, to just rely on prayer alone. We've got to come out, we've got to be on the streets, you've got to be vocal about your outrage. We know people are outraged about this type of thing. You're just being quiet. People don't want to lose the jobs. People don't want to be looked down upon because they've got certain views. No one's worried about talking about Gaza, Palestine. We've got people here, like was spoken before, about wildlife, foxes being killed, genocide over here. We've got rights for trans, we've got rights for homosexuals and things being proclaimed about. Not one of these people will engage in a discussion about the rights of the unborn children. Several people talking about Gaza, 20,000 children, this, that and the other. When asked, we should be on the same page about murder of all of these people, they will not comment. They say, we haven't thought about this. They're not discussing it. They're not thinking about it. They need to go away and think about this. A lot of them have refused. They want rights for trans. They want rights for certain humans, but not for babies. When confronted on the contradiction in that, they just walk away. Haven't spoken to us at all. They will not acknowledge any contradiction at all. We need strong Christian men to get together, to get out on the streets, to talk about this in nice, debates with people. They don't always have to be heated. We need to engage in discussions and call out all of these contradictions. We want life to be precious, all life to be precious. We should be here talking about it. Not just certain people across the world in different areas, all of it. And we need to start here at home first before we start looking elsewhere, thousands of miles away. We need to start with these 250,000 helpless babies that are murdered every year.
Yeah, and many Christian men come to us and they like frustrated because they don't know where to get their teeth stuck into. They're like, oh, there's nothing in the what can I get my teeth stuck into? First and foremost, you can get your teeth stuck into helping the vulnerable, helping those who cannot protect themselves. You can stand up for the rights of the unborn children. Listen, when these children are murdered, which it is murder. It is not harmless murder. They are in pain when they are killed. Research is coming out now that when they are killed in the womb, it is painful for these children. Now, many Christians will say, they will quote the Old Testament where it says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, I will heal their land. But part of humbling yourself means dying to your own comfort. It means coming out, being discomfort, being hated. You know, we're getting abused today because we're standing up against abortion. And, you know, it's almost as though we're speaking up against women, which is not true. But humbling yourself means I don't care what anyone thinks of me. I'm standing up for the vulnerable. I'm standing up for the lost because that is what God requires of me. Men, women of the church, we are calling you out to stand up against these issues. Take a stand and be serious about it. Not just praying, but actually standing out and speaking against these issues.
Of the history of feminism. So I took 2.5 years and dug in super, super hard. Like I went to all the primary sources. I read all the writings of the feminists themselves as far back as I could find it, you know. And I didn't know anything. I thought I kind of knew. I didn't know. I had no idea. And as I'm researching and I'm profiling all the different feminist activists over the last several centuries, I found this thread over and over and over that most of them were very much diametrically opposed to Christianity.
Mhm.
They were into the occult in various forms. A lot of them were spirit mediums, tarot card readers, automatic writers. They were theosophists. They were members of the Golden Dawn, like all the different esoteric, you know, groups that are out there. And as I kept finding this, I thought, okay, I can't ignore this aspect because I keep finding it. There's something here. There's something to this. I thought it would be more about like the funding and the politics, but I found this common spiritual thread among all of these women who were so passionate about feminism that it was like that Christianity is the patriarchy, and that's really what they were fighting. And I was shocked to find a PhD thesis by a professor out of Sweden who himself is a Luciferian. So obviously he and I have different worldviews, but he found the same thing that I found. And he wrote his PhD thesis, which is a book you can buy on Amazon called Satanic Feminism. And it talks about how first wave feminism, we're talking late 1700s through the 19th century, these women openly saw Lucifer as their liberator. They wrote about it, they talked about it. And I'm like, why have I never heard that, right? So that's kind of the paradigm shatter for me, was to realize that this is a spiritual battle more than it is a political one. The politics is downstream, but that this is a spiritual thing. And even for these women that far back, they saw this as a spiritual battle more than they even saw it as a political or a financial or a social battle. So that completely changed the way that I looked at feminism and family dynamics and gender dynamics. So that's why I wrote it, and that's what really kind of blew my mind about it.
Why did you call it occult feminism?
There's two reasons. That title kind of has a dual meaning. One is because the word occult just means secret or hidden.
Mm-hmm.
So there's actually an entire hidden history of feminism. The history that you and I have been taught like we just went over in the beginning of, oh, the women were oppressed and so they had to get freedom and blah, blah, blah. That's the mainstream version we've all heard, that all the feminists were angels, heroes, brave, strong. We owe them everything, right? They were these heroes. But the secret history, the real history, has actually been gatekept by women's studies departments, by gender studies departments, which were started in 1970 by the Ford Foundation and the Rockefeller Foundation to kind of astroturf the movement, to rewrite the history and make it, number one, more palatable, more appealing, especially to women of that time period who were, sexual revolutionaries, Marxists, that sort of thing. But also because there was a lot of scammery going on. There was a lot of snake oil salesmen in the movement, a lot of phonies, a lot of people who were paid and pushed to the front to be the mouthpiece, while there were other people with agendas actually behind it. So that's one aspect of the meaning. And of course, the other aspect is these women were occult practitioners in large part. A lot of them claimed to be spirit mediums or fortune tellers or tarot card readers. There were a couple I profile in the book who were, high priestesses in the Golden Dawn, or they were, into espionage. They did secret insider trading deals with, wealthy industrialists of the time. So there's actually a lot of secrets hidden in the history of the feminist movement that almost nobody knows about unless they've read the book.
Some of their moving and shaking was very impressive for a bunch of oppressed, sort of like chained to an oven type women. So
Wasn't
very
it?
impressive. One of the things that I like about Christianity is the fact that the religion doesn't really gaslight you about like the messed up nature of human beings. And when it comes to the messed up nature of human beings, I think that men and women also have their own things that they've got to battle with. One of the things that I find that women have to temper in their own nature is their desire to want to rule over their husbands and their desire to want to rule over men. And when I read this book, I couldn't help having this notion that women inherently have a desire to rule over men, but then when men let them do it, they will hate them. And not only will they hate them, it will just expand endlessly. And it doesn't ever end until it's until it's reined in or until it's tempered on the individual level. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%. Absolutely. I agree with you on everything you just said. That's usually a layer that people don't get to until they've been thinking about this stuff and observing and kind of analyzing it for quite a while. So it's pretty impressive to me that you kind of got that pretty quickly, because the curse in Genesis for the woman is what you just described, that we're going to have this innate urge to rule over the husband, even though we desire the husband. You want the husband to be the leader. You want him to have authority. You want him to be responsible and take care of business and be a man who gets things done. But at the same time, you also kind of want to tell him what to do and how he should do it and where you think he's going wrong and criticize and things like this. Now, that's like an individual level. But on a broader, more societal level, we see the same spirit, the same attitude coming up again and again. If you guys paid attention during the American political presidential cycle we just had with Nikki Haley running for president, she's shuttered her campaign now. But the song they picked for her campaign theme was a song called Man Eater. And then she had the debate where she made a snide remark to the men about wearing heels and walking all over them and this sort of thing. So it's like, even a woman who is extremely powerful like her, I mean, she's been in some of the highest levels of government. She's a very powerful person. She still feels like she has to prove that she can do it better than the men. Then she's going to run circles around them. She's going to get in there and not only compete, but dominate them, and it's like, so you see it on every level with women, but they're never happy when they're doing that, right? The most miserable wife is one whose husband lets her do whatever she wants. Like, no woman wants a man who she can walk all over, yet at the same time, we're constantly shit testing and pushing boundaries. So I do think that is our struggle, just like you said. I think that's the primary thing, that once this clicks with women, I've gotten lots of DMs and emails from women where they're like, once that clicked with me, everything changed. My relationship is better. I'm more relaxed. I'm not always anxious. I'm not so depressed. I kind of understand now that I don't have to always be like fighting the patriarchy. So
Yep.
yeah, definitely agree.
I always say this, that the most happy women I know are the women who lean into their sort of femininity and their nature. And the most happy men I know are the ones who lean into their masculinity and their masculine nature and their desire to want to be a leader, and they don't listen to this sort of outside noise. I used to live in this place called Hackney Wick in London, and it was this really super duper hipster, artsy sort of place. And it was just all of the gender roles were all just confused and everything was chaos. And I remember coming away from that experience being like, I don't even need any evidence, because it's so self-evidently true by just looking at people when their nature is sort of corrupted, and they get this, like women get this like dark, really chaotic, like combative look about them, and men become feminine. It's just, yeah, I don't even need the evidence, but reading the book, it reinstills it. Now, one of the things that I really found interesting was the ancient gods that you talk about at the start. We've got Inanna, Ishtar, which is a Sumerian god. And I looked into the mythology of it a little bit more. And Inanna was actually rejected by Gilgamesh in Sumerian mythology. And then Inanna killed one of Gilgamesh's friends and then sent the heavenly bull to come and attack Gilgamesh. I was like, I feel like I'm watching an episode of whatever podcast, like just hearing the stories.
It's true. And you actually, the reason I started the book with that was to kind of demonstrate that this isn't, people think this is a new thing, that this is a recent thing. This goes back to the very beginning of the oldest tales we have in humankind, in every culture, in every religion, and it repeats over and over. I also go into like the goddess Kali, whose consort Shiva, her male counterpart, had to throw himself under her feet and let her step on him to keep her from destroying the world out of pure wrath, right? And like Lilith, the legend of the demon Lilith, and how she refused to be beneath Adam and became like a killer of infants. And
I was literally thinking when I was reading that, I was like, they had this argument, Lilith and Adam, and Lilith is like, I will not be beneath you, and Adam's like, come on, like, just nothing changes. It's just the same thing that's happening today.
It's true. It's a tale as old as time, and that's why I think that what that tells you, and people who think that this kind of stuff is conspiracy, I always tell them that's the wrong way to think about it. It's more like, because people say, well, how can it be the same thing every time all the way throughout history? It's because the same spirit is behind it. Now, whether you're Christian like me, who believes literally there are actual spirits, curses, things of that nature behind it, or you're a person who doesn't want to buy into that, I understand, that's fine. You could say it's the same attitude, it's the same spirit in the more, secular sense of like the spirit of the age, right? It's a tale as old as time. It seems to be a central thing that human beings can't get away from, no matter what time or culture you live in. There might be some differences in how it manifests, but yeah, it's like you could look at these ancient tales.
Jesus, I surrender. All to him I freely give.
Everyone here is a murderer because one sin put Jesus Christ on the cross. That's why he had to die. An innocent man had to die for our sins. So technically everyone here, if you sin one time, you're a murderer because you're responsible for putting Jesus on the cross. That's why the Bible says that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. So Jesus Christ went to the cross for the very sins that you're committing today. A man had to die so we can all go free. And this is the grace of God. This is what the gospel is.
Get off the cross! We need the wood!
And this is what the gospel is.
Doesn't the Bible say thou shalt not judge?
No. It does. Do you want to know what it actually says? The Bible says, judge not, lest ye be judged. By the same measure that you judge others is by the same measure you will be judged. First get the, listen, then it says, first get the plank out of your eye. But you're not letting me finish. It says, first get the plank out of your eye, then you can see clearly to get the mote out of your brother's or sister's eye. The thing is, it's teaching us how to judge. The Bible says our spiritual man judges all things, yet is judged by none. So we make judgments every day. Matter of fact, her asking me that question, shouldn't you not judge, is a judgment. We make judgments every day. We can't navigate the human condition without making judgments. What it comes down to is that you guys You guys have been told and you've been deceived and you've been lied to, where you think that all these different lifestyles and all these different things are okay when they're not, because the Bible says that sin leads to death. The Bible says unless you repent, you will likewise perish. The Bible says people that act like you and don't repent, you deserve punishment. And that punishment, it doesn't matter. But the Bible is like oxygen. The Bible is like gravity. You don't have to believe in it, but it's true. The Bible says every knee is going to bow and every tongue is going to confess that Jesus Christ is Lord to the glory of the Father. People, all you LGBTQ people are going to stand before God one day. You're going to stand before God one day, and what's going to happen is you're going to get judged by the law. And if you're judged by the law, everyone here is guilty. Listen to the screams. You hear those screams? That's what hell sounds like. Listen, but the thing is, but they're not going to be screams of joy. They're going to be screams of pain. The Bible says that you'll be cast out to outer darkness where there'll be weeping, wailing. Now look, what you guys were doing was wailing. The Bible says there's going to be a whole bunch of wailing in hell. Your same-sex partner doesn't love you if they're not trying to save you from hell.
How exactly, without relying on the word of your God itself, can you vouch for your God telling the truth? Other than him saying that he is telling the truth, what assurance do you have that it's not lies? Like, there is no assurance without the assurance.
Says who?
Says logic.
Okay, well, tell me about logic.
In what way do you have any assurance that your God is telling the truth other than your God saying he's telling the truth?
Okay, but what standard are you going to, by what standard will you judge my answer? By your own reasoning?
By the rules of logic. And
what are the rules of logic?
The rules of logic are that your answer cannot be inherently contradictory to itself.
Okay, amen. So God never contradicts himself.
There are over 300 direct contradictions of instruction to man in the Bible.
Show me one. Now I know, because what you're doing is you're lying and you're making up information that's not true. Now to answer your question, the Bible is a record. It's a record of mankind. It's a record of God. It's a record about Jesus, and it's a record about the human condition and the world in general. Just like you learn how to read through a book. You learn how to write through whether the spoken or written word. The Bible is the spoken, written word of God. And that's how come we know it's true. And you know how we know it's true? Because you believe that there's a right and wrong. Without God, there is no right. Also, there's no right or wrong?
There is no objective right or wrong, no.
Okay, so is rape wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, but you just said there's no objective right or wrong. So now why is rape wrong? So that's just one mistake that you made. Now let me go back to another thing. The standard is God, because God says it's right or wrong. A rapist doesn't think it's wrong. That's why he rapes. So what's your stand? Now look, you just backtracked though. You said there is no objective right or wrong. And then I said, is rape wrong? And you said yes. So that makes you a hypocrite. Okay.
Rape is wrong because in humans, we have the ability to conceive of a conception of consent. Exactly.
You said it wasn't wrong.
Ducks literally do not reproduce without rape.
You said there's no right or wrong. The thing is, the minute you say there's no right or wrong, and then I ask you, is rape wrong? And you say, yes, it's wrong. It shows the hypocrisy of your stance. It shows there's no logic in how you think. Now, you asked me a question. You said, how do I know that God is true? Or how do I know that the standard of God...
How do you know God is honest?
Amen. Because what's right and wrong? Because God set the standard for right and wrong. You know why rape is wrong? Because God says so. You know why stealing is wrong? Because God said so. You know why homosexuality is wrong? Because God said so. The standard for right and wrong is God. The thing is, you're borrowing my worldview to make a point, which you cannot. Do you believe we evolved here, or do you believe that you were created?
I believe in evolution because it's obvious.
Okay, so in evolution, that means we evolved randomly through a series of random events. So why is right or wrong in evolution? Why is there right or wrong? Matter of fact, it's survival of the fittest, or natural selection. Tell me, where's morals in evolution?
It's what serves the species.
Okay, so if there's only 2 men left on Earth and there's one woman, and that woman doesn't want to procreate, we have to. so we can procreate to preserve our species. According to you, you said it's about the preservation of a species. So in that mindset, that means right is right, because we have to enhance our species.
At that point, there is not enough humans left on Earth for this.
If there's 2 men and there's 1 woman, that's enough to populate the whole world.
No, it is.
That's how the world was populated, through Adam and Eve. Even science tells us that we all came from a common ancestor. That's what you believe. So how did that common ancestor start?
So I'm not going to spend the time to explain evolution to someone.
Because you don't know evolution. You don't understand evolution.
I've spent enough time to understand it.
Okay, so I just explained it. I just explained it to you. Tell me. Okay, look. Evolution is a succession of chemical reactions. It's a succession of chemical reactions. So just like if I got 2 soda cans and shuck them together, that's the same thing evolution is. It's just a chemical reaction, according to you. An amoeba, or it rained on a rock turned into an amoeba turned into some sort of amphibian, which got on Earth, which turned into a monkey, which evolved from there. Now, in that process, there is no morality, so you have no grounds to tell me what's right or wrong. In evolution, there is no morality.
Reason.
Where does reason come from?
Reason comes from the exercise of thought.
Where does thought come from?
It's an emergent property of a very complex biological organism.
Where does the biological organism come from?
Less complex biological.
And where do they come from?
Less complex biological.
Yeah, so I'm saying, so once again, if you say that all we are is complex organisms, who cares about right or wrong? And this is why you got to convince yourself you came from a monkey, because the thing is, you have a hardened heart and you don't want to bow down to the laws of God. Because the laws of God tell you, unless you repent, you will likewise perish. So what you do is you suppress the truth and unrighteousness. The Bible says everyone knows that there's a God, but they suppress the truth and unrighteousness so they can live the way that they want to live. There is no right or wrong if there's no God. I can do whatever I want to do if there's no God, and so can you, because there's no standard of truth. And that goes back to this original point of the conversation. God is the standard of truth, because if there is no God, we should be able to do whatever we want to do.
So you're telling me right now, all of us who are sitting in the Pride Parade, right? You're telling us right now, we kneel down to the Lord Jesus Christ, the Word of the Christian God. We will be repentant and we will be saved.
Amen.
And yes, sir. If I kneel down right now, can I suck his dick?
That was disgusting. And you know why you guys are celebrating? Because all he does is validate your flawed thinking and your flawed mind. And you know why you have flawed thinking and flawed minds? Because a lot of you have been, your mom and dad dropped the ball. A lot of you went through some hard. Hold on, wait, calm down. Calm down. You will be respectful. You will be respectful. I don't know. Relax then. Relax. You will be respectful. Okay? I'll let you say something, but you will be respectful. Don't grab my stuff. Don't grab my stuff. Okay.
I have my hands right here. I have my hands right here.
You grab my stuff. You grab my stuff. Just I'll hold it. I don't trust you anymore because you came in like a demon. Relax. 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 Don't you have any respect? Aren't you from the Love is Love community? Well then love a Christian. Okay. Okay, it's okay that I'm aggravating. Have some self-control. Okay.
Okay, honestly, I have nothing against Christians or anything like that, okay? But all this is bullshit, okay? You don't need to be here right now. You don't need to be here right now. All this is bullshit. Love is love, and we will love who we want to love. You can go home, because you don't need to be here. Nobody wants you here, okay? And the fact of the matter is, we didn't come from no Adam and Eve. We came from fucking Lilith and Satan. Because at the end of the day, Eve was riding Satan's dick. And that's how she became Lilith. So you need to go home, okay? Because nobody wants to hear your lies anymore. I came from I came from a Pentecostal home, and I removed myself from that because you know what? Because the thing about it is, you guys just release hate into the world. You guys don't let people have their freedom and want to be loved. And the thing about it is, at the end of the day, there is no God, okay? There is no God. At the end of the day, there is no God, okay? At the end of the day, I met somebody who died, and all of the day, when you die, it's just pitch blackness. It's just darkness, okay? You are free to love who you want to love. Don't listen to the bullshit that this guy has to say. At the end of the day, they're all wrong.
Hey, she's absolutely right. She's absolutely right. You're free to love who you want to love, and you'll go to hell if you don't repent. So you're free to do anything. You're free to participate in sodomy. You're free. Okay, 1 second. You're free to be angry. You're free to do all these things. But the Bible said that you're also free to go to hell. You're leading yourself to hell by all these sinful actions. And this lady was all over the place. She went from Jewish fables to there is no God. But she admitted one thing: Satan is her daddy. She said.